Fall out. Everyone fall out. Get lost. In this town.
Hey everybody, welcome to Biters. This is Dianne and Mouse.
And this is Marnell, and just a warning, this episode may contain swearing because we have guests.
Yay!
Yay! Who do we have?
Potty mouth guests.
Well, this is Diana from Aim for the Head podcast, and
this is Steve from Aim for the Head podcast.
Yay, and we've been talking about making this happen for a while.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. This is so exciting.
This is like a crossover episode, or
It's the Crisis on Infinite podcast right here.
It's the crisis from infinite time zones, because let me tell you,
Yeah, whoa.
if you guys want a challenge, be in another time zone from Alaska, which most of America is, and try and join up with two ladies who podcast from Alaska and see if you can do that. So I say, I throw the gauntlet down and say, I challenge you all, do it.
This is so cool, though, because we can tell you guys, what happened, because it hasn't happened for you.
Yeah.
We're 3
Right.
hours ahead of you. So
3 hours
Just-
in the future.
that's right.
Just, right now in Illinois, it's dark.
That's right.
And eventually, for you guys, it'll be dark.
That's right.
Actually, it's dark right now because we're so far above the equator that it gets dark at 4 p.m.
Oh, interesting.
It doesn't get dark for us until at least 4:30, so at least we got that going for us. And now, aren't we technically? We're getting close to the equinox when we'll.
Yep.
It's almost solstice, and in
Almost.
6 more days we will start to have more light again. And believe me, if we start really going stir crazy this time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, but it's great for all the vampires.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
They have more hours in the day with which
That's right.
to, fill their bellies.
It's a
Yes.
chance to get all their shopping done.
All of their Christmas shopping done.
That's right.
When else are they going to do it? It's got to be at night. Totally.
Well, since you guys are 3 hours ahead, just speak my language. Tell me impeachment.
I mean, we're not that much on the pulse of it. I was just going to give you football scores or something. I don't know.
And the
I
sports
don't know.
ball scores would be lost on the two housewives.
I feel really
yeah.
bad because they're not, because Steve and I follow the sports ball, but
We do.
we
Sadly.
do. Yeah.
I
Sorry.
did hold my
Sorry
own at breakfast.
about the Bears there.
I held my own at breakfast this morning and had a snarky comment about the Broncos, but that's about as good as it gets.
See, and my lack of interest in sports ball is because I don't understand it. So mine's just really out of my own ignorance.
Well, it's difficult too. I mean, you guys have always lived in Alaska, correct?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's
Our
no
formative
professional
years.
sports teams in Alaska. So it's like, how do
Nope.
you even get involved in that? I mean, that's got to be hard.
The
Yeah, I think
Seahawks are the biggest thing. They're the closest thing, and that's what most people follow.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. I'm a Patriots fan, so we just don't like the Seahawks at all.
I know, and I have to say, you've said a couple of Patriots things on Facebook, and I've said, I'm not going to say anything about Tom Brady.
Let's keep Tom Brady in neutral zone as best we can. As best we can.
Don't
So
have to bring up that the Patriots were caught cheating
again.
again.
Hey. Keep it quiet.
Apparently,
Don't
I'm
make me
not
talk
the
about
only
how
one.
terrible your team is. Steve.
I won't say anything.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh my god.
Anyway, sorry. We're here to talk about Walking Dead, right? We're not
Yes,
talking about
yes,
sports
yes.
balls? Okay, all right. Good.
So we
This
are going to talk about 10A, the first half of
10A.
season 10.
But yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty forking amazing.
It wasn't fear, right, Steve?
These are good place adjectives.
That's the strategy that I've adopted for our show because, I'm with the drunken sailor here who,
Hey.
she will cuss up anything and anyone at any time. And so I try and make sure it's holy forking shirt balls.
it's not my fault. It's my upbringing. It's Boston. It's literally, if you ever want a description of why, if you ever get a chance, watch the the show Inside the Actors Studio.
Mhm.
There's one where James Lipton is interviewing Matt Damon, and then they get to the what's your favorite cuss word, and he gets there and he explains it in a way that I really can't even just describe. It's just about how, in Boston, like, swearing is just like a complete part of the vernacular. There's nothing you can do. I didn't realize I swore so much until I moved to the Midwest. So, yeah.
Well,
sorry, listeners.
Honestly,
The mouth of a sailor.
You're doubly damned because you were raised by a nurse.
That's true.
That's true. That is true.
A short, feisty Irish nurse, and I grew up in the Boston area, so all of that was coming at me from all angles. So there's nothing I can do about it. Now, I can temper myself. I've worked in the service industry my whole life, and I live in the Midwest, so those things rub off on you eventually. So I'm not as bad. I got home from work yesterday, and I was cussing up a storm in front of my wife, and she's like, "Diana, take it down a notch." I'm like, "Sorry, man." Ooh.
Maybe you got it all out yesterday.
Yeah, maybe. Let's hope.
Oh no, there's no high score with her.
This pit is bottomless.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. I'm like a bottomless jar, like pitcher of margaritas, except it's just cuss words all the time. Woo!
Awesome, I love it.
Okay,
I was gonna say that
just
sounds
not today.
delightful.
Just not today. I'll try.
So,
right.
as the guests, why don't you guys start with the ratings for the first half of season 10? Steve, you want to lead us in?
Oh, I think Diana should go first. I'll be chivalrous.
There's got to be a first time for everything.
Right, exactly.
So, my rating for the whole first half of the season, I gave it a 4.75 jugs of dirty water.
Excellent.
Oh, I like that one. That's good. That's very good. My rating is up there, equally high, not quite as high as Diana just did. I gave it 4.5 crazy Carol home ec books out of 5.
Oh my goodness, we will so get to Crazy Carol Theater.
Oh God, that was so awesome.
All right, Mom, what was
Mine,
yours?
of course, is as higher than everybody's. 4.8 zombie Sadiqs.
Ooh, that was awesome too.
I'm going to round us all out with the A's. We all gave season 10A an A. Mine was 4.67 out of 5 moral ambiguities, which I will talk about more.
Ooh, look at you getting all fancy.
Right. Now, ladies, let me ask you guys, do you think your ratings were at all influenced by the roaring dumpster fire that was Fear that we had to watch before this?
Yes.
Yeah, I do too. I think that anything they gave us on the main show, we would have been, this is so great.
Just like the two of you, I spent the first probably 4 episodes going, oh my God, this was so much better than Fear.
Yes.
I feel like it really did such a good. I mean, we can thank Fear for one thing, which is it really helped temper my expectations. Well, there's that, but also when little things like little quibbles and little things would come up. Don't get me wrong, this was not a perfect first half of the season. And when we get to bads and uglies, I have plenty to talk about. But they aren't things that ruined the season, ruined an episode, ruined a character arc. Like, those were all achievements that Fear was able to get to this past season.
And they repeatedly got to.
Yes. And I just feel like the missteps that the main series had for this first half, they were things that were like, that's disappointing, or that's something that's out of character for that person. But that was like one small piece of a much larger episode,
Mm-hmm.
Because as Steve is wont to complain about pretty much all the time, is the main series has way too many characters. So basically, if there was some moment with Michonne that you were like, that's not like her, she was only 10% of that episode because they had to cover everybody else. Whereas Fear has far less characters. So
still
if
too many.
John and June did something that was out of character, unfortunately, it was like 60% of the episode. So, it had a tendency to sort of drag the whole episode down. Whereas in Walking Dead's case, I feel like the little missteps they made were just like, blunders. They were just like little blunders, you know. And when I'm sure we're going to talk about the finale a little bit, and when we do, I have interesting thoughts on that. So we'll get there. But
So,
anyway,
before we go to the main series, though, I'm just going to say one word, and I would like the reaction from the two of you.
ooh, I love it.
Okay.
Ginny.
My sentiments exactly.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
really unfair because you told me I couldn't swear. Okay? So fork you, biters lady. Fork you.
Well done. I was on the Marnell train with Ginny since day one, which I just don't buy her that anyone would follow her and that she's somehow in charge. I just totally. I like the actor. Don't get me wrong. I just thought terribly written character.
Yeah.
Terribly.
I think she's doing the best she can.
She is.
I feel like that should be the coda for the entire season. Everyone did the best they could with the pile of doo-doo that they were given. You know, and the gal playing Ginny is no different. Here's this new character being introduced, supposed to be the big bad for the season, and she's anything but. And I think the actress is great, and she just has been given a load of crap, and she's just trying to do her best to polish it up. You know, she's polishing the turd best she can.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Agreed.
and you can only do so much. You know,
I don't think on the actors at all this season. That last
oh
season.
God, no. In fact, it makes me more sad. You know, if this were a show where it had lesser actors, you know, it'd be much easier to fall away. But I love Jenna, and I love, Garrett Dillahunt. I love, Lenny James, and all of these folks. They're so talented. They are so good, and they are so being wasted, which is, part of the reason why this most recent season was so frustrating, was to have a pool of talent like that and to be wasting it it's just terrible.
Well, and we had just come off a really good season of Fear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you
Yeah.
guys felt about season 4, but we really enjoyed season 4.
Yeah.
It was certainly better than season 5. I just got to tell you that Chambliss and Goldberg do nothing for me as showrunners. I just don't think they can tell a very good story. So, really every choice that they've made so far, and I know some of them they didn't have any wiggle room. I mean, when Frank Delane says he wants to leave the show, Nick's leaving the show, and that you got to write him out. Okay, I get that, but they're the ones that wrote out Madison. They're the ones that basically, came up with this weird storyline of, well, now we're going to try and help everybody, even whether they don't want our help or not. And then the one person that does want their help, which is Logan, they won't help him. What does that mean? I mean, it's just, it's just, I just didn't like. They need to go. That's the way it is for me. So.
Agreed.
Personally, I liked the way season 4 started off, but I think it just sort of like went off the rails towards the end. That's all.
Yeah.
And I was okay with losing like Nick, and I was okay with losing Madison. I'm fine with losing main characters as long as it makes sense for the story. I'm not sold yet on the fact that it made sense for the story, but who knows? Who knows?
They did give us that great Storm episode with Alicia and Charlie. That was the best episode. That and the one with Isabel in season 5. Those the 2 bottle episodes in both seasons were the best episodes. So.
I would agree that the end of everything was the best in season 5. Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't remember. I think I stole it from someone on a pod. I don't know if it's you guys or Walking Dead Talk Through, or maybe the Deadcast. I don't know. But someone made a good observation, and I think it's true, that Chambliss and what's his face, that they are better at like the two-handers, like a scene with 1 or 2 people. As soon as it becomes a group, it's like a big mishmash, and they can't figure it out, and they can't keep the threads tight or whatever. So, if you look at those 2 episodes, you had the Alicia and Charlie in the basement, that whole episode with them together, so good. And then with Al with Isabel, also really good. So
That's very true. There was, I can't remember which episode it was, but it was so disjointed that I was like, did they just write 2 scripts and then cut it up into pieces and like pull it out of the hat and put it together. Because it was just from moment to moment, it was completely disjointed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Can we talk about good stuff, please?
Yeah, good stuff.
Let's segue into something about the main series then. So, what was your favorite episode of the first half of season 10? Diana.
Oh, Jesus, on the spot.
Stradivarius.
Whatever.
Oh, wait.
That was the last season. Get
So
it
sorry.
together, Baldwin. There was a lot that I liked about the episode where Carol was hallucinating and seeing things, whatever. I thought that was interesting.
Episode 3 Ghosts.
Yes.
Thank you. But I really feel like the one where Dante was revealed was probably one of the when it became clear right at the end of the episode. That was
Open your eyes.
I think that was
Open your eyes, yeah.
I feel like that was the best one of the whole season.
Which was a Cudlitz directed episode.
It was indeed. Yes.
And it's tough because there are so many really good episodes in the season that it's like directly below it is like, like by like a 1/10 of a point is something else. And then like directly below that is like something, because there were so many really, really great. I mean, oh God, the beta and alpha backstory stuff was just fantastic. All the Negan stuff was great. I mean, so much good stuff, but yes,
Jesus,
I would
lady,
say
pick an episode.
Open Your Eyes. Open Your Eyes is my favorite. I thought the Dante reveal was one of the best things this season.
All right, Steve, what about you?
Mine, hands down, was episode 3 Ghosts, which was Quasi Carol Theater. And actually, I can ask you guys this because I don't know if this was on the air or not, but I've watched that episode multiple times. I've just gone back and because I really liked the way they put it together and how they structured it, and I love Melissa McBride's performance in it, and even having Dim Bulb Henry in there was great. It was just a wonderful, wonderful story. But my question is, we know that the bit where Daryl tells the story about his dad as a trucker was complete hallucination on her part, right? Okay,
Absolutely. Yep.
So the question is, though, is Daryl ever in that dog school thing until the very end when they run in and find her in the gym? Or is every moment where it's her and Daryl a hallucination? And she just kind of walks. Does she just walk off by herself and find the dog school on her own, and she's just in her crazy head? That's my question.
Wow.
So for me, it was so well done that I actually don't know. But okay. I agree with you that like a lot more of it was a hallucination than we think, and that she never was in the tiger trap or anything, and she actually just fell and cut her arm. I think a lot more was a hallucination than you originally thought in your first watch through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And Miss Dianne?
I have not really thought about how much of it was hallucination, but I think that's a really good observation. It really did give me chills when you said that. So now I'm going to go back and watch it again, because I have to say that and the first episode kind of vied for favorites for me, and Ghosts won out. Episode 3 won out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, my close runner-up was episode 2, which is the We Are the End of the World, which was the beta and alpha backstory. That was a great episode, too.
And for me, it doesn't get much better than Lines Be Crossed, which was episode 1. Yes. That, I think I rated it just below the series premiere. Like, I loved that episode, every moment of it.
Really?
Wow. Yeah. How it started out. I mean, how it started out, like, I was listening to Diana, how you were like, am I on the right channel? And
yeah, with the cosmonaut thing, yeah.
Yeah, I did the same thing where, I actually, when I went and saw The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I thought I was in the wrong theater because it starts out with singing dolphins. So, like, in my head, when the satellite is going through space, I'm like, so long and thanks for all the fish.
Yeah, right. I think we all had that kind of moment of, wait, what is this?
Right? And then, of course, it seemed to be a kind of a callback to a Fear episode. And then you had the beach scene where they did the practice battle, and everyone was highlighted. I mean, there was no shrinking violets in that scene, and just, you know, even RJ was great in that episode. Like his little scenes, and Judith talking about the brave man, and just the entire episode. I could go on and on.
That's a good choice.
Yeah. But I agree, Diana. So many good things to choose from. It was hard.
True.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Isn't it nice to be in that position where there's so many good things to choose from?
As opposed to, it was the end of the world. That was it. that was it. That's all we got was that. That was it.
We have an embarrassment of wealth this season rather than just an embarrassment.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Very good. Well, so I don't really have anything for featured cast. We didn't really do one since we're doing more of a retrospective, but I did want to say, and I said this to you guys before we signed on tonight, just how impressed again I am with Michael Cudlitz's development as a director. So we had 2 episodes from him, Open Your Eyes and Silence the Whisperers, and his eye for things is just so good.
Agreed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just really the ability for him to pull his relationship with the most of the cast that's still there, with his eye as a director was really matched up well. It was great.
Yeah. And then I do have a couple of small things for Whisperer's Corner, so I'll just run through these. So the wrongful death suit that John Berneker's family has brought against AMC has gone to trial, and Austin Emilio testified this week. And it sounds like what happened was John Berneker was filling in as a stunt double for a character that Dwight kills and shoves off of a balcony. So Austin Emilio was in the scene, but his coaching from the stunt people was don't touch him, don't do anything, but actually it's going to look like you're shoving him off of a balcony. And it sounds like it was just really traumatic for Austin Emilio.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Steve and I can also attest we both work in theater pretty heavily, and one of the most important things that you learn in doing stage combat in the theater as well is a majority of what happens isn't the aggressor doing anything. Like if I'm going to grab you and shove you and put you up against the wall by your shirt, a majority of that is the person who is up against the wall is going to do all of that action. Mm-hmm. So that sounds pretty in line, that instead you are basically going to look like you shoved them, Austin Emilio that is, but really he's just only going to tap the guy, and everything else is the trained professional is going to do what it is that he knows how to do. So that certainly sounds pretty feasible that's what was going on. Yeah. So I feel so bad for Austin though. That's terrible.
I do too. I can't imagine witnessing something like that and being, and then sadly for the family, I mean, I know that they must be grieving horribly, but to have them put Austin in a chair and say, you're part of this,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's got to be very traumatic.
Yeah. I mean, and it is traumatic, but unfortunately he is a part of it. If he was involved in the stunt, then he has a perspective, on what was being told to, it's John, right?
Berneker? Yeah.
John, yeah. What was being told to him, what instructions were happening, because he was so involved in the episode. He was right there in the stunt itself. So it's awful, but I'm sure it's totally necessary.
Yeah. I hope I hope that the family gets some sense of closure, and I hope that it comes out decently for everybody. Just terrible. On a happier note, Robert Kirkman is launching a new comic book.
Ooh.
So
and it's going to be about a zombie apocalypse?
God, I hope so. Because I have to be honest, when I read the plot summary of the new comic book, I thought, is this Iron Fist?
Oh no.
So he's working with an artist named Chris Samney, who, I'm kind of not as cool into comic books as I should be, so I don't know this artist, but they're doing a series called Firepower, and the main character goes to China to research his birth parents and gets sucked into a Shaolin temple.
Whoa.
Like you do.
Yeah, so you
Right.
know that's the premise, and apparently he is potentially someone who wields the firepower.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
yeah, I don't know.
I guess I'd have to see the artist and what does he do? What is his drawing? Is it going to be very stylized? Is it going to be graphic novel-y, or is it going to be more pulpy, or is it going to be more like a modern comic or whatever? Could be cool.
I'll have to find it and put a link on the Biters page because the art was actually really good. They had several panels from, I'm assuming, the first issue, and the art was really good. So,
And when's that coming?
I don't know. I didn't read closely enough and write that down. Soon?
So soon. It's coming soon. We're covering. It's soon.
If not out already.
It's soonishly later.
I will put a link on Biters and I will share it to Aim for the Head as well.
Oh,
I am going to write myself a note right now so I don't forget to do that.
Don't do the New York Times one. It has a paywall.
Oh, okay. No, it wasn't New York Times. It was like comicbook.com or comicbook.com or somebody like that.
Bleeding Cool has one.
nice.
All right. So Samantha Morgan in an interview teases that season 10B is really brutal. So I think that's going to play into some of our predictions that we talk about later on.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Then there was totally a little funny on comicbook.com that I had to share. So they actually shared an interview with a mortician who criticizes The Walking Dead because the walkers are too skinny. And she actually says that bloat can be so severe in decomposition that bodies can burst.
True.
So sounds like we're
interesting.
looking more at the well walker than bicycle girl.
Yeah.
Which is really funny because I feel like, I've heard stories through the grapevine of folks that have done the extra work as walkers on the show. And usually when the casting call goes out, they want skinny, emaciated, really
Right.
thin people for that. And, that seems very logical. Bloat feels scientifically logical.
It was a funny little article. I mean, I thought, okay, only an Undertaker would spend time talking to Deadline or whatever about how The Walking Dead is not accurate. But
Okay, but in complete fairness, we are 10 years in, so 99% of the walkers, I mean, unless you're freshly dead, have been desiccating for nearly a decade at this point. So, yeah, I see the skinniness instead, but maybe the fresh ones need to be a little paunchier.
Well, maybe the bloated ones have already exploded from the bloats and the gas. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that could be some really good effects if Nicotero wants to dive in.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I don't know. He's got this show. He's got Creep Show. He's helping out on Fear. I mean, he's stretched.
Have you guys watched Creepshow? Have either of you bought Shudder?
No.
Yeah,
No, I
neither
have
have we.
not.
So I have watched the first 3 episodes.
Uh-oh.
Okay, never
Tell
mind.
us,
Marnell
tell us.
actually has, apparently.
So I actually, I think it's the first 3 episodes. I think I left off on the one with Kaylee Fleming, actually. And they are really, really good. I loved like all Creep Show and Tales from the Crypt and just everything in that genre. And this really does a good job at telling those creepy stories. There is like a bit of like fun gore. One of the first episode is basically not zombies, sorry, werewolf Nazi testing in World War II, and there's a particular scene where there's blood splatters onto a window, and you can tell it was intentionally looks like fake blood. I mean,
Okay.
it's not realistic almost at all. I mean, it's definitely red dye and corn syrup.
It's like cherry red.
Yeah, exactly. And it's very, very clear. And so it's kind of gory, but like it's comic booky gore.
Right.
So the episode of Kaylee Fleming really creeped me out. So I was genuinely scared for her. So yeah, It's pretty good. I definitely will finish the season.
Cool.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Interesting.
The last thing that I have in Whisperer's Corner is that there was an interview with Angela Kang at Deadline that she recorded right after episode 8 of season 10 aired, and she said that Lauren Cohen is going to be back as a series regular in season 11, but there's a good chance that we'll see her before that.
Uh-huh. Well, yeah, because she's got to hook up with Dante. Oh.
That didn't work out.
Oh, so sorry.
Wow.
Perhaps this foghorn will explain. Yes. Yeah, my guess is she will come in, but whether it'll be season finale appearance or maybe, penultimate episode, but my guess it'll be near the very end.
Yeah.
Just to whet our appetites a little bit.
Exactly. So everyone will be excited for the next season to launch. So.
Because she's cute too, Steve.
I do like myself some Lauren Cohen. There's no doubt. Did you guys ever see The Boy?
No.
Which is the horror movie that she made?
I did. Yep.
It was better than it needed to be, but ultimately kind of silly.
Yeah. I think kind of all of the I'm not a big fan of like the Annabelle movies or anything like that. So
yeah.
Oh,
I have to say, by the way, that Marnell, you and I are definitely the kindred spirits here.
Oh yeah.
I'm with Miss I never seen a horror movie in my life, Diana, who I'll be like, it's like this movie.
True.
It is totally true. And then I listen to you guys, and Marnell's like, and I can't wait to go see this movie. And then I'm like, oh. So yeah, it's really cool getting the chance to talk to someone who knows their stuff, as it were.
So what you're saying is we have to trade podcast partners every now and then.
I think so, just for sanity's sake. Yes.
Man, the shade is awful right now.
We've gone from Real Housewives of Alaska to Wife Swap.
Yeah. Welcome, ladies.
Oh my God.
Steven and I are peanut butter jelly.
Right. That's right.
Oh,
Okay, I have to go down the Annabelle rabbit hole for just a second.
All right.
okay.
My
Sweet.
coworker this week showed me this thing that her daughter is into. She collects goat hair and then markets it as hair for porcelain baby dolls.
Ew.
But these porcelain baby dolls look like stillborn babies. It was creepy AF. It was so creepy.
Have
Wow.
you seen the real babies? I think they're real dolls.
That's
They're real
totally
babies.
what it is.
Yeah. And I guess they actually, a lot of people buy them when they can't have children or when they have lost a child. I guess it's a form of therapy. I don't judge, but
It's the boy.
I told
Yes.
the mom that it was totally haunted doll time.
yep.
Well, that real baby thing, not to interject, but there's previews for there's some new series. I want to say it's called The Servant.
Servant. It's on Apple Plus.
Apple Plus, and it's an M. Night Shyamalan one, and it looks like part of that storyline is they show a woman who's getting a baby ready or whatever, and she picks it up, and it is totally a doll. It is not a real child, but she's very that's my baby, and very cooing and doing all of that, and then you're like, holy crap.
Cray, cray.
Totally cray cray. Yeah.
What
Get a
is
Pomeranian.
wrong with people? Get
Adopt
a
a
3-legged dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I want to stand up for myself a little bit here. Okay, I may not watch horror movies, but I did go to a full horror convention with you, sir.
Good
and
on
I
ya.
had such a good time. We had so much fun. It was so good.
All right.
I mean, we got to meet Richard Dreyfuss. It was great.
You got to haggle with Richard Dreyfuss.
I
Are you
did. That
kidding
was a
me?
really good story.
Well, now you have to tell it.
Okay, so briefly, all right, so we're in line for Richard Dreyfuss, and the thing that I was most excited about was I didn't have to pay any money to meet Richard Dreyfuss. Steve's going to spend the money, and I'm just going to stand there. Jody and I stood there, and we held his things. Jody had his bag, I had his coat, and he's doing his thing. So Steve was unrolling his poster for Richard to sign, and he looks over. He's got on like the half glasses. He looks over them, looks at me and Jody, and he's like, "Can I ask you a question?" And we're like, yeah, you can talk to us as much as you want, Mr. Dreyfus. But he's like, "Can I ask you a question?" We're like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Yeah. Would you guys do?" If there was like a talk about Jaws, like an in-depth like panel discussion, something, whatever, he's like, for like say 45 minutes to an hour, he's like, would you pay $50 for that? And I
dollars. It was dollars.
$50. That's right. He's New York.
Gotta say it in New York.
$50. He said, pay $50 for that? And I said, well, would you be there? And he says, yeah. And I look at Jody for like a half second. We look back at him and we both go, yeah. So we both answer at the same time. And then he leans forward and he goes, $100? And then I lean a little closer and I look at him out of one eye and I go, 75. And then he laughs his butt off because clearly he was just trying to see like where the like, you know, how much would people spend to do like an hour with Richard Dreyfuss kind of thing. You know, he
How
was
crazy are
basically
these
just
fans.
I know. It was hilarious. But just to like we literally haggled about how much money would you spend to spend time with Richard Dreyfuss? Right. I don't know. It was hilarious. It was so much fun.
No, when I got a selfie with him too, and so we're holding up the Stand By Me poster, and so I'm holding it, and he's holding it, and all of a sudden I realize as his handler's adjusting my phone to take the picture, you know, and everything, and I suddenly realized that the poster's being pulled up, and he's pulling the poster up over his face. So just his eyes are peeking out, and I'm like, "Oh, please tell me you're taking this picture." But they didn't, because you know it's his handler, and he didn't. But he was really fun, just really goofy and normal and approachable. It was really cool.
Yeah. So if you guys see him at a con or you have an opportunity, you definitely he's worth the money, the time. He just seems very like down to earth and he's so tiny. Oh my God, he's so short.
Yeah, he's a teeny little guy.
Yeah, he made me feel tall. And I am 5'4" on a good day. So, yeah.
That just reinforces that we've got to get the housewives out of Alaska.
There you
Clearly.
go.
Yeah. Are there any conventions that happen near you guys at all? Is that even a possibility?
So there actually was a convention a couple of years ago, and Seth Gilliam came, and I found out like the day that it was happening, and I was working.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I mean, every now
bad.
and then you get kind of weird, random one-shot things here, but it's really hit or miss.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Well, I went to when I met Ross Marquand. It was at this teeny tiny little horror convention that happened in like the middle of nowhere, Illinois. I had to drive like almost an hour and a half one way, and I went in. I picked the one person I wanted to spend money on. I did that. I took pictures. And I walked around a little bit. They had someone there who was doing like zombie makeup. They were doing like a presentation on the stage, and it was even though it was a small venue, there was so Ross was there, Kudlitz was there, Seth Gilliam was there, nice. Austin Emilio. The one I'm killing myself over though. Don't get me wrong, Ross is adorable, but Tom Paine was there too, and I know.
So, who's liking Prodigal Son?
Oh my God, it's so good.
I haven't
really
finished
good.
it.
I'm totally not caught up.
Okay, but you guys are liking it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
I think it's I think they did a good job. I think it's so nice to see him be able to sort of stretch, and I like that it's different than anything else that's on TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just happy that he broke the curse of Walking Dead people trying to have their own show and not making it.
Yeah.
Whiskey Tango.
Whiskey Tango and the kids are all right.
Oh,
yeah.
Which should have made it but didn't, and
it really should have. Yeah.
But I will say this though, as much as I'm super sad because damn that show was so damn funny, it made him more available to direct, and his episodes he directed this season were really so wonderful.
Yeah,
I'm sure they would have figured out a way to sort of like squeeze it in. Like I'm sure schedule wise he probably would have been able to do the directing, but maybe he would have been more distracted. Maybe the quality wouldn't have been as good. Who knows? So we lost one thing but gained another. So yeah.
You had mentioned that you at one of the panels that Cutlass said that he was going to direct an episode of the new Walking Dead show.
Yeah, it sounds like several.
Okay, I'm just wondering if that's going to translate, because I'm very dubious about the new show. But yeah, if Cutlass can recreate his magic, then it'll be a hit. I mean, it's Walking Dead; it'll be a hit anyway. But
right. Yeah, but it'd be like Walking Dead, or will it be like a Fear the Walking Dead kind of hit? Because they're two kind of different hits there.
Right.
That's legit.
All right.
Well, I think that kind of takes us into our goods, bads, and uglies. So who wants to start with their good?
Oh, I think Diana should go first.
There he is with the chivalry again. Don't be fooled, ladies.
Yeah,
this is,
I'm not. I'm thinking there's some needling going on there, but
yeah. Anyway, like we were already talking about in terms of the season so far, there's a lot of good things to choose from, and I'm really hoping that our 4 are completely different.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say one of the things that I've really been enjoying, because I wasn't expecting it to be my favorite thing this year, is I'm really loving Negan's arc. That's my good this year for so far. There's still a whole other half of the season, but I really feel like the work that they've put into it, the detail, it makes it better that he was in the jail for, was that all of last season? Yeah, pretty much all of last season.
Yep.
And we didn't get any scenes, but so now that we get him like outside and he's with the Whisperers, and even the couple of scenes where he was still with Alexandria and in the cell, we got him outside working in the vegetable garden, just like, in
Carl.
I know, it's like in the dream and everything. So it's, I just really feel like the attention to detail with his character, his arc, and everything. And I know that a really common question a lot of people are asking is Negan reformed, or is he able to still be Negan? I think it's both.
Yes.
I think
I
that
agree.
I think that he understands that he did terrible things, and he knows he has to atone for them. He's not a dummy. He's a smart guy, and I know he gets it. I think that he is contrite. He is contriteful. Is that a word? Oh my God!
It is now.
I just made it up.
Totally cromulent word.
It is cromulent. Lockbox. Anyway, sorry. I went
supposedly.
He understands that people are going to hate him for a long, long time. I don't think he ever expects to be on people's good side, but I also think he's not apologetic about it, because he looks at it like he did what he had to do. He just was from a different mindset. So I think that he's both. Just like, to come down to it, I think that he is not the same person that he was, 8 years ago, because who the hell is? He's definitely changed to being, and a lot of that has got to be, he doesn't have the stress of needing to run a group of people anymore. It's kind of like he was the manager for years, and now he can just relax and be like a little, peon, and not, all the stresses that come along with all that stuff.
And to really sit on a hard group of people. I mean, they were not people that were, they weren't people who were looking for the best in each other.
Exactly. I'm sure there was a lot. There was a lot to handle, and he put himself there for sure. But to have to deal with all of the fallout and all of the crap, I'm sure that was no fun. But so I think he's a different person, but I think he most definitely still has the ability to fall back into Negan behavior, because he doesn't see it as he did a wrong thing. He understands that other people are going to judge him based on that, and that he's going to lose in a lot of ways, but that he will always be able to slide back into old Negan stuff, because he doesn't think he did anything wrong. He did what he had to do. So he doesn't have any problem with doing that, and I think he can justify it. Sure, he killed that poor woman, but he saved Lydia. You know what I mean? Like, he justifies it. That was just fallout. These things happen.
He's
know?
always had his own moral code, you know.
Moral ambiguity.
Well, no,
You.
and this'll be going into a big bold prediction of mine, but I mean, he, you know, one of the things he was always big on is consent. You know, like he'd bash somebody's head in with a baseball bat, but he wouldn't allow rape in his society. So,
Right.
yeah, he's always
Except
had
for
his
all
own
of his
moral code.
wives.
Right.
They had to consent. Now there was a lot of persuasion.
Yeah,
Right.
I would use
As
the
far
I would
as,
use the
like-
term consent loosely in that circumstance.
Yeah.
I swear, Your Honor, she consented. She took her coat off.
No, but when he told Dwight to go pick out one of his wives, he's like, make sure she consents. You know, like
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
There's this weird moral code that he showed it again in his episode with Brandon, where you know he drew the line at killing the woman and the kid.
Right.
Right.
Well, it's the kids are the big thing to me.
Mhm.
He really has a problem with anyone messing with kids. And just bold prediction wise, since we're already kind of going down this road, my bold prediction is Lydia will find her way back to the Whisperers, and Alpha will try and either to kill her or hurt her, and that's going to be
Yep.
the thing that sets him off.
Oh,
I
nice.
think so too. I think
Very
so
nice.
too.
Yeah.
I think it's there. They laid all the groundwork. They showed him. They reinforced that, you know, he doesn't like when kids are picked on. You know, he stood up for Lydia already, so he has a connection with her, and then
He's
it
got a connection with
reinforced.
Judith.
Yeah, and they did a really good job of reinforcing how he feels about kids. So I totally agree with that. I think that's a definite possibility.
So one of the things that I actually have written down is that I loved the Negan school for misfits and dimwits. Because you've got, you know, Judith, who's kind of the smart, plucky one, and then you've got Lydia, who's like really insecure and can't fit in, and then you had Brandon, who, you know, he was the dimwit.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's true. Totally true. Yeah, he does.
I'm going to put that on a t-shirt. The Negan school for misfits and dimwits.
Dimwits. There you go. I like it. I like it a lot.
I originally had a swear word in there, so.
Would have been forking.
I think, or maybe dip shirts.
Yes, yep, sure.
There we go. All right. Well, my good is actually going to go back to something that Dianne started out by saying, and that is my good is Michael Kudlitz.
Nice.
That the two episodes he did, 10.4 Silence the Whisperers and 10.7 Open Your Eyes, especially that episode was fantabulous. But both of them were great, and clearly in the top three for me for the season, top 3 or 4, I would say. So yeah, I would say his directing skill, what he brought to the show, was amazing and was clearly for me the highlight.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that. He was fantastic. I hope they pull him in again.
Me too. Diana had said, I think he's directed 3 episodes of the new show. Is that what we were told?
That's what I heard, and I can't remember where that came through, but it was a reliable enough source for me to feel like, yeah, that's right. Because maybe they asked him, maybe he was on Talking Dead, and Hardwick asked him. I don't know, but wherever it was either him or someone else, like Kirkman was like 3, and I was like, okay, well, there you go.
Yeah. So hopefully they can get him back to the main show at some point. 'Cause
definitely.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Marn,
Ladies.
Marn, what about you?
So this wasn't talked about a whole lot during the season because I actually just kind of put it together. Like I said, I binge watched the entire first half of season 10.
You get the gold
Yesterday?
star today.
Yes.
Wow.
But I like this season how nature is also another threat. You know, we had, you know, the Whisperer spies and the Whisperers and you know, we had various other things that, you know, were putting our group in peril. But nature is still a big threat. I mean, when you are talking a world without antibiotics or, big medicine or anything like that, the cut that Judith gave Virgil in the last episode, that could be deadly. They stitched him up, but, he could die of infection. But so we saw it with the hogweed. Aaron was nearly blinded by hogweed. And then Dante, we find out, intentionally poisoned the other Whisperer with hemlock, and it was supposed to be something else that was going to help with inflammation or fever or something like that.
Yeah, it was yarrow, I think. Yarrow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. And, just they're both, little white flowers. And if they're dried up, they look pretty much the same. So it would be easy to mistake. And then unfiltered water, like we nearly lost an entire community. And like Dianne had said in an episode, it reminded us of the infection in the prison, so we're going back to the whole, the world is a big, scary place, and there's a lot more to worry about than just whisperers and zombies.
Well, and don't forget Ezekiel and his thyroid cancer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right. Yep.
Used to have a 98% survival rate.
Not no more.
Yeah.
Not no more.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing once the lights stop working, how quickly everything falls apart.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be like Fear, where we're going to be able to do an ultrasound with an X-ray machine.
Well, you mean there won't be working VCRs and walkie-talkies at every truck stop?
And we're not going to find out that Ezekiel is actually having a baby.
Oh, God.
He might be growing a second head, though.
Jeez. See, now you had to go and ruin it, okay?
Oh, God.
Boy, I tell you, those guys, they were doubly screwed because Chernobyl had just come out, right?
Yep.
Yes.
So here we're getting like a pretty accurate portrayal of what happens when this happens. And then we get their like totally messed up, like we're just going to write it how we want to write it version. And yeah.
We're just going to, this whole radiation thing, we're going to wing it and we'll see if people notice.
Yeah.
Did you know that you can power an entire nuclear power plant with a generator on gas?
One Jenny. That's all.
One Jenny. Yeah.
That's right. That was how the first one was built. I don't know if you knew that. That's a true fact.
Let's be honest, the generator that we used when our power went out on Monday is probably better than the generator that they had for that nuclear plant.
Probably. Well, I mean, really, guys, we're being unfair. What we forget that we have to tell our listeners is that they were in Texas, where nothing bad happens in Texas.
That's true.
So we just have to make sure you understand. I mean, there are no long distances. Everything's really close by.
Texas.
Nobody dies. And really, we shouldn't have had to worry about the nuclear thing anyway, because it's like no one gets sick and dies. So, I mean, because clearly, I mean, she wasn't really sick. She was pregnant. So.
And get Ezekiel on a bus now.
Yeah.
His butt, as soon as he crosses the border from like Arkansas, that tumor will just start shrinking.
Oh my God!
I mean,
there you go. They killed off Morgan, and they're going to replace him with Ezekiel.
Yeah, what they should do is just put Ezekiel in the back of a truck and let him fall asleep, and when he wakes up, he'll be there. That's the way it works.
That's right.
Right?
Fear.
We love hate you.
My good, which had nothing to do with fear.
Okay.
And I'm kind of casting a really broad net, so bear with me. But it just was that we got so many classic moments for this series in a series that 2 seasons ago was being written off.
Yeah.
The shield wall, one of my all-time favorite moments in The Walking Dead. It was so good. The beta alpha backstory. But yeah, definitely in Ghosts, the unreal versus the real, the waking versus the dreaming, that whole segment where Carol hallucinates the thing about Daryl's dad. We just got so many good episodes, so many good moments.
How about the moment where she comes downstairs and he's clean shaven and showered, and he's cooking her breakfast.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that was just amazing. Oh, just so creepy because you're like, it's not real.
Yes.
So, have you guys ever had a dream within a dream? Have you ever like woken up and you're still in the dream?
No, I've never had that happen. But
it's terrifying because when you wake up for real, you don't know if you're really awake.
Really?
Yeah, I've had them before, and it is terrifying. Yeah.
This is a kid who has watched Nightmare on Elm Street one too many times.
Yeah, that's right.
I have to watch it every time it's on. Like, I can't not watch it. Freddy Krueger still scares the crap out of me, and I'm 40 years old.
Right now, I'm actually looking at my on my wall. I have my Nightmare on Elm Street poster, and it's signed by Robert Englund, Amanda Weiss, Heather Langenkamp, and Ronnie Blakely. So they all came to a show. You should have been there. It would have been so cool.
Dude, you're a brother from another mother.
I'm telling you.
But I couldn't have that in my house. Like, it would be like having a cursed doll. Like,
that's true.
Its eyes would follow me everywhere. I couldn't undress in front of them. Like, nothing. Like, it would creep me out so bad.
Yeah. Okay. Well, sorry.
But that's the thing, though, is like, every time it's on, I have to turn it to that channel and watch it because I just, like, because I'm crazy.
No, you're not. You're normal.
All right, sliding into our bads. Diana, you go first.
Yay!
Well, we're just going to keep the order now, man. You're stuck. You're leaving out every time.
That's true. All right, so I'm going to say my bad, and it's kind of, it encompasses a bunch of things, but man, it was just such a dumpster fire of crap. The last 10 minutes of the finale was the bad for me. And I've heard other people say things on different podcasts and different reactions, but the ultimate one, I mean, there were a lot of things in that finale that I just were like, huh? And I know other people enjoyed it more, and God bless you. But I just, at this point in the apocalypse, when people who are seasoned and trained warriors do things that make no sense. Carol has an excuse. Carol is mourning. Carol is revenge bent. She totally, if she had just taken off after Alpha by herself, totally makes sense, and I could justify it later because of where her character is state of mind wise. Everyone else following her and making the same mistakes makes no sense to me, especially since if Daryl did it, Daryl is best friends with her. If it was just Carol and Daryl ran in there and was like, and I normally wouldn't do this, but Carol is my bestie, so I will go in here with no fire, no lamp, no opening up my matches or my lighter to see something, Daryl the trained tracker who just went into a darkened space without any way of knowing what's right in front of him. Forget about Alpha. Hello, zombies. I don't know if you're aware, but you've been fighting them for the last 8 to 10 years. So,
Well, and wouldn't there be thousands of footprints in there?
Oh my God. Yes. Anyway, Carol gets a pass, a small one. Daryl, if it had just been him, could have gotten a pass, but he didn't. There was a whole group of people who are not nearly as close with Carol as Daryl is, and they just blindly went running in there like nobody's business. They're like, we don't have any way of seeing what we're doing, and we're all just going to run in there. They didn't use any tactics. None of the stuff that they showcased on that beach in the very first episode was present in that moment. If Michonne was there, she would have slapped them all. You know what I mean? Like, Judith would have been like, duh, why are you running in there? It doesn't make any sense. If they're like, 3 of you run in, we'll post a watch out front, or hang on, don't run in there. Let's see if we've got a fire or some way we can see, someone's going to have, I would have been mad at it, but if someone had been like, hey, this solar powered flashlight, I've got it. You know what I mean? Like, that would have made more sense to me than these people just running blindly into that opening. It made no sense to me. Now, there were other elements towards the end of the episode that really drove me nuts in terms of questions. And so I had a hard time with the finale. And one of the things I realized, and I think you guys talked about it, because you guys talk about who writes and who directs each episode. Right. I usually learn what's happening between either you guys or Walking Dead Talk Through are really good about talking about directors and writers of the episode. And come to find out, the director of the finale has never directed a Walking Dead episode before. And the writers, there were new writers as well. So Kudlitz made a comment one time when he was talking about directing. He said that one of the things that he's able to bring to it is that he knows the characters.
Sure.
So if you take somebody like Kudlitz, who did the penultimate episode, he was going to have a reverence towards the show because he's so familiar with it. He would have never directed a scene like that because he would have been like, wait a minute. All of those people are going to run blindly after Carol. Doesn't anybody see a problem here? That doesn't make any sense to me. Can we add some element that will make that moment make sense? Like, hey, I've got a torch. Hey, I've got, a lighter or matches so we can see. And eventually we know they do have matches because we saw that sneak peek for what's going to happen when we come back next season, that they show this little clip of, it should be on AMC at this point, so probably everybody's seen it, but the little scene where Magna has like matches and is looking around. So they had the ability to do something where they could see, and they just chose not to. And I find that so hard to believe that all of them wouldn't, like, out of all of them, somebody wouldn't have stopped and went, wait, huh? What are we doing? We're just running in here? I don't know. And I know I just sort of went on and on for like 10 minutes, but it was really, excuse me, it was just upsetting because we spent this whole first half of the season with these rich characters that are written so well, and these actors are knocking it out of the park every week. And like we said, when there's small moments that we disagree with, they don't kill the whole episode. We're just like, I didn't dig that moment, but it was 5% of the episode, and everything else was so amazing. This was a big chunk of how the ending of the episode worked out, and it sets up this whole situation that's going to play out in the beginning of the second half of the season. So it was a pretty large plot point, including a lot of people and a lot of characters. So to me, it felt like they took all of the amazingness of the second to last episode with Open Your Eyes, and they sort of took that and they just drove it off a cliff. That's how I feel.
Oh.
That's actually a really good point. I hadn't thought about that. The other three people that were in the group were Connie, Kelly, and Magna. Mm-hmm. And now Magna and Kelly were stashing supplies earlier because they were all peace out group.
Right. And Jerry was part of the group too.
Yeah, he was.
So that's
Jerry too.
And I can see
and Aaron. Don't forget Aaron.
And I could see Jerry maybe blindly following Carol because that's his queen, you know. And I know things have changed, but I'm sure he still looks at her the same way. Aaron just does not have that relationship with Carol. I cannot imagine that happening. And the new people definitely don't have that relationship with Carol.
Well, and then Connie was in the group too, and Connie being deaf relies on her vision a lot. Could you imagine running into a dark cave?
No, and she would never do it.
No.
I can't imagine running into a dark cave and I can hear.
Right.
Right. So it didn't, so to be clear, it didn't ruin the first half of the season for me. It made it end on a note for me. Kind of like how last season when we were having all these great feelings leading into the end of the season, and then like the whole like walking through the snow and then the snowball fight at the end, it kind of ended on like a kind of I'm excited, but sort of, know, and this is the same thing. And it sets up more for me, which is just personal for me. The idea of the walkers being in that cave is not exciting to me. Having our people be separated from the group and now they're obviously going to have to go out on a rescue mission is not exciting to me. And knowing that the situation that they're in either means a couple of people are going to die, because then it's going to embolden them to go against Alpha even more, or nobody's going to die and it's going to drive me nuts because in that situation someone should die.
And they'll probably add more characters.
There was just a lot of disappointment there, and I don't want to blame those people, but it says a lot that the episode was directed and written by people who maybe just aren't as familiar with the franchise, aren't as familiar with what would be an interesting beat for an actor to choose, or a character motivation or things like that. And perhaps the actors were given explanations that made sense to them. Like, you did this because of A, B, and C, but whatever they were given, I
think they were given, it's in the script, do it.
Right.
Yeah.
You make $50 million and you will run blindly into this cave.
So please, hit your mark so we can go. I'm sorry, I swear. Hit your fork marks so we can go home.
And it wasn't me.
Now I have to edit. Now I have to edit.
I'm so sorry. I was just channeling my inner Diana there. So I'm going to go get myself some Dunkin'.
Oh, my God.
Excuse me.
Diana, what I would say too is that it's not just the writer of the episode; it's Angela Kang. I mean, she's the showrunner.
She is.
You know, these outside writers, they write the scripts, they send them in, and then the staff writers will punch them up and change them and make whatever changes they want to make. So, to me, it was more of they had to get that cliffhanger. They had to set it up so those people were stuck. So they're going to make them do something completely out of character to achieve that. And that it rang hollow, just exactly what you said, that you're like, these people that we've known in some case for, 9 years now, would never make that decision. Out of 1,000 times you put them in that situation, Daryl would never run in there without his crossbow, without a light, blindly. I'm sorry, he wouldn't. There's just no way. He's smarter than that, And you have to think that the other group, the people in the group, but this, by the way, was going to be my bad, my main bad as well. And I named them the Dim Bulb Gang because
So go ahead and talk about your bad then, because I'm pretty done. So
okay.
Go for it, sir.
All right. Well, again, that was going to be my main thing, but I have another one we can get into too. But I was just going to finish up by saying that it just was completely out of character. And it didn't ring true. And like I've said on our show countless times, I can suspend my disbelief for any situation you want to set up. Dead coming back to life, cool. Aliens invading, cool. Superheroes that can fly, cool. I'm good. I'm into it. But as soon as characters make decisions that I myself would never make in that situation, you lost me. You did. I can't. That's where I draw the line. So, and that was a huge example of that, where I'm like, oh, come on. And of course, and then they all fall, and then Daryl goes in, and no one is screaming, "Daryl, don't come in!" Right? And so then he falls, and it's just you're like, okay. Anyway, since you took my main bad, I will go to my follow-up bad, and my number 2 bad for this season was Aaron. I thought Aaron's character was all over the place this season.
I agree.
I'm going to fight you on that one.
Okay.
Ooh,
all right.
Fight.
Bring it on. That's right. I think
no.
when we see Lines We Cross, which was the premiere, Aaron is telling Michonne how he's angry and he doesn't want to be the nice guy and he's tired of just taking it and he wants to fight someone. He's very upset, right? And he charges across that bridge into Whisperer territory, right? And gets caught for it because the Whispers are watching and they saw, and they, Alpha brings it up later on. So I get that part. And then when he sees Negan, when they're out fighting the walkers and he gets the stuff in his eyes and he can't see, he was like an inch away from killing Negan out there, right? I mean, he's not at all in a forgiving kind of a mood. And when it came to the council voting, he's one of the people that voted to hang Negan.
Yes.
For the death of the gal that was beating up Lydia. So he's very angry, violent, want to take it out on somebody. And then when he runs into Gamma, who is on their side of the lines, and she's obviously poisoning the stream with putting walkers in it, he's just like, oh, here, let me help you. Are you okay? And I totally didn't see that at all. I'm like, when he first hears her and starts looking for her, if you remember, he's out doing his sword play, right? And he's, spinning the sword around and doing all the sword thrusts and stuff. And then he hears her and he's like, what's that? And he starts going, to me, it's like he's hunting. Right, he's going out. Something's out there, and I thought for sure he was going to kill her, or at least capture her. for all of the crap that the Whisperers have done to them, now you have one on your side of the border, right? She broke the rules, not us, right? And for him to let her go, it rang false with everything they had set up with his character so far this season.
Excuse me.
Agreed.
So go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that Aaron was all over the map, and it's a bummer because I've always really liked that character, and I don't feel like they served him well.
Okay, I absolutely agree. He was all over the map, but when I took a step back and watched all of the episodes yesterday, the dividing line between his character swing was the episode where he was peanut butter jelly with Negan.
Okay.
And he went through a very traumatic thing where and you guys had made a point to say that, Negan kind of stood back for a minute and let him flail,
Oh, yeah.
And he, he knew he was going to save him, but it kind of heightened it in that, I think it made him more fearful and then more grateful to Negan for saving his life. I think, that little pause and I'm not going to save you immediately sent Aaron spiraling into a peril. And when he was saved, and then when Negan basically nursed him back to health and kept him safe and everything. And, this guy that he had hated and everything, I think that cooled his jets because then we got the Gamma stuff where he was going to try and befriend a Whisperer, I think, Stephen, you had made the point one time where it was like, has anyone ever just left a bag of food and a note that was like, hey, we shouldn't be enemies. We won't be friends, but we shouldn't be enemies. Maybe we can trade stuff or,
right. Yeah.
So I think when he had that experience with Negan, I think that's when he kind of switched it up a little. Mm-hmm. And then we had that kind of weird out of place thing where he was talking to Gracie about the people who had disappeared in the ancient civilization and everything. Mm-hmm. So I think in the beginning episode he really was all gung ho, but then after the Negan episode he cooled off. So
okay,
that's my fight.
All right, valid point. I'm going to still say no. I didn't believe it, but I like your argument. It's good job.
But I agree he was all over the map this season.
I would say that I can see what you're saying there, Marnell, and I see right where that change probably did happen. The unfortunate thing is, though, you shouldn't have to watch the whole season again to be able to see those. And I don't disagree with you that that shift is probably much more noticeable the second time through, but it should be for such a big tone shift to switch from one over to the other. It should have been something that was a little more noticeable, especially if they're going to do this whole Aaron in the forefront thing. They spoon feed it to us, people, please go for it. Because if they hid it too much, then it's
that was the thing, is I had the foreknowledge of, because that did initially bother me that, he swung from the guy that, wanted to charge into Whisperer territory to the guy that was trying to befriend a Whisperer. And I was like, that doesn't make sense to me. And so I had the foreknowledge when I went back and did the rewatch. So that's where I am.
The other thing that comes up for me, and we talked about this, Marn, was that he let those three people from the Highwaymen bully Lydia. And I felt like that was so out of character for him.
You're right. Yeah, I got no argument for that one.
Yeah. Well, you're right. He clearly knew what was going on, and the way that scene starts when he calls the one guy who's kind of picking on Lydia, I got the sense that he was gonna make an example out of him to protect her. Be like, hey, why don't you come up here and I'll show you how to disarm somebody, and then he'd beat him up a little or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something to kind of be like, look, pal, all right, you can't pick on people bigger just because you're bigger than her, because I'm bigger than you and now I'm gonna pick on you or whatever. And he didn't. He just kind of went, okay, then, and then moved on, and poor Lydia had nowhere to go.
Yeah, I really felt like we lost good guy NGO Aaron there,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe without being the moral compass, he'll survive next season.
Oh, let's hope so. Well, as long as he doesn't start a journal about planning for the future, he has a chance.
Beth.
That's true.
And avoid revolving doors.
Yes.
All right, so ladies,
Marn.
Who's next?
So, speaking of surviving the season, my bad was Sadiq's death. Now,
is this a good bad or a bad bad?
a bad. I'm so disappointed that out of everyone they could have picked to die, that it was Sadiq. I really liked his character. Spoiler alert for the comics, he's still alive in the books at the end. Like, maybe it's also because I kind of had a crush on him, but do not be a doctor in the zombie apocalypse, apparently.
That is true.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I loved the whole thing with the zombie Sadiq almost eating his baby, and the battle with Dante and Rosita knifing him in the, like, that was pretty cool. That was a pretty cool payoff, but out of everyone they could have killed this season, I'm really, really disappointed it was Sadiq.
Yeah.
I'm hearing, I wish they had killed Father Gabriel. That's what I'm hearing you say.
No offense to Seth.
Old one eye.
It's the hat. I'm sorry. It's the Children of the Corn hat. It's not the eye.
Yeah, that's true. You expect him to kind of come walking out of the stalks with Linda Hamilton in tow, don't you?
Right? Right? Outlander.
Yeah, that's right. There's been so much on the social medias that exist out there of but Gabriel dislike.
Yeah.
I think the fans are pretty much like, yeah, we've had enough of him. So you're not alone in your wanting to see him, go to the big church in the sky there.
Go ahead.
His character has taken so many wild left turns that I just, we've gone from him locking his congregation out to him intentionally leaving the gate open. Remember that? It's not the Negan cell, the gate. He left the gate open.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And he nearly got Rick killed. And, just now he's dating Rosita and he's stabbing Dante in the neck. Like, what? Pick a personality, dude.
Have to admit, though, when he took out Dante, that was very satisfying.
That was exactly the word I was going to use.
Yeah.
And I'm a peaceful guy. I don't ever want to see anyone get hurt, but that MF had to die. Okay.
Yeah. I was disappointed that we didn't get any more, insight with Dante. I wish we could have gotten just a little bit more time, but man, that scene with Gabriel killing him was, as you said, it was so satisfying.
Yeah.
That moment when he was like finished and just like, like Primal screamed at him. I was like, this is like Gabriel, man, he's got layers, man.
Well, go ahead.
It was one of those scenes where it's like, finally, some really, really bad guy had something terrible happen to him. We've let our villains off pretty easily in this show, I think. And finally, it was just like, no more.
Yeah.
It's funny. You would think that with the fact that because of the society that we're seeing now has devolved so much, we don't have any of the modern amenities, that there would be more of a frontier justice set up, like the Old West, where it's like, you steal a horse, we're going to hang you because that's what we do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And particularly in this case, I mean, this is, this guy, he killed Sadiq. There's no doubt about it. He killed Sadiq. So obviously, Negan's kind of the exception of we're going to keep him in prison, but no, you take it, you string him up just like Maggie did with Gregory.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's just that's what happens, and and then after that, then they put him in a pine box out front of of Alexandria with a sign that says, "This is what we do to whisperers in our town," or something like that, right? I mean, just letting everybody know, look, this is the law. And it's surprising to me that we don't see more of that, that it is very kind of, oh no,
genteel.
It's all, yeah, it's much too nice. The Alexandrian and the Hilltoppers are very, very forgiving people, given the circumstances.
Well, at least Dante thought so right up until the end.
Oh, yeah. The only person more surprised than the audience that he died was him.
Yeah.
Or maybe Gabriel.
Yeah.
And all of the Whisperers have pointed that out, is like, basically, you guys you're trying to protect this and it's not working. And the one Whisperer spit the food back in the face, and he's like, you're trying to protect sandwiches, and yeah, everyone's pointed out how they're just too nice sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes you got to be brutal.
Well, and it's a brutal world, so and to try and pretend that it's not is not doing your people any favors. So
everything is out to kill you.
Right, like you said, yeah, everything.
And they're still trying to hang on to the Carl Grimes vision, though. I mean, one of the episodes that I made it up through on my rewatch, Sadiq was actually bringing up Carl and bringing up Carl's vision about how society was supposed to be. So, yeah, they're not brutal, they're not cruel, and sometimes that doesn't serve them well.
Yeah. So, Di, what was your bad?
Well, I kind of had a few. I won't belabor the one, but I am going to say it again because it bothered me again on the rewatch. There are so many scenes that are so visually dark. You lose so much of the action. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's frustrating as hell.
Too dark and too quiet. I wrote that down too.
But I think probably my biggie is that I still don't feel like we got a good explanation for the friction and the dissolution of the relationship between Yumiko and Magna. I feel like that just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was just, it was something like, oh, they don't like each other now?
Right. I mean, there's this beautiful lovemaking scene at the beginning of the Cudlitz. I think it was the first episode that Cudlitz directed. Yeah.
Or, Silence the Whisperers.
And by the end of it, they're like, peace out, I don't want to talk to you. And it was really sideways. It really came out of nowhere.
Yeah. I agree.
Well, from my standpoint is again, these are new characters that I have zero interest in. And don't get me wrong, I like both of the actors. They're fine, but it's just, again, my point is there's already so many characters we don't see enough of already, and then we get more, and it's just okay. It's a similar thing on just on a different universe on the Green Arrow show on CW. They introduced all of their kids in the future suddenly, and I'm like, I don't care about any of these people. I want to see the Green Arrow show. I want to see stories about the Green Arrow. That's kind of my thing. And so again, with those two characters, I like them, but it didn't do anything for me because I'm like, I don't, I'm not invested yet in either of them.
Right.
Yeah.
And they didn't give you any reason to be invested. That's the thing. It's like they set up this sort of quasi storyline where you're like, ooh, we're supposed to feel concerned for Yumiko and Magna because they're feeling a certain way. But if you don't have any meat to like back that up, then it's like it becomes really thin. And the intent was to sort of get people to care, but it's like, if you don't give me details, I don't know what I'm supposed to care about. So then I don't care. So
right.
Yeah, and it came out of nowhere. It just took a big leap. I mean, they went from making love to not speaking to each other, and it's like, okay, was something left on the cutting room floor for time? Like, did they something had to be edited out that was important to this storyline? And yeah, I agree.
Possible, yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. What was your other stuff that was bad?
So
lay it on us. We want to hear it.
The only other thing I wrote down was the thing about Gabriel, and I really feel like they haven't used him well this season. They haven't portrayed him well. He hasn't been doing anything that, this goes back to what you were saying, that I care about. Up until he killed Dante. I mean, that's the only useful thing he's done all season.
Yeah, he was always on the radio. I mean, he was kind of an absentee father in the quadrangle. And he was rude to Rosita, and I just,
I kind of took that scene as tough love.
Yeah.
More, she was going through something, and he knew that, but he, didn't really. There was so much going on. He just like, look, you just got to get over it.
But I'm like, she just had a baby, dude. Like, give her a second. Like, just let her vent for a little bit.
You know what? I'm just gonna say okay.
Because you're not going to win in this conversation.
No, I'm not going to win.
We don't have children, so I've never experienced postpartum depression firsthand. But I'm just saying, like, girl's got a lot on her mind.
Right.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Was that before or after the friend zone episode?
That was after. I think that was in Open Your Eye, or no, it was World Before. It was the season finale, mid-season finale, because it was after the funeral, and then she went out, and remember she almost got eaten, and then Eugene saved her, and then she came in, and she's like, I almost got killed, and he's like, yeah, you had problems with the walker, you think you're gonna have it again, get over it. And she, she was just like so offended. She's like, I'm suffering here, That
was the best recap of that scene I've ever heard. Get over it.
You have such a way with words, Steve.
I do.
You should do a podcast.
Someday.
Yeah, one of these days. The dream, it's out there.
It is.
Oh.
All right.
Do you have anything else, Di?
Nope. So the rules for your ugly is that it can be a good ugly or a bad ugly, or you can be like Marnell and not follow the rules, and it's usually both. So.
Ooh, I like it.
I like good uglies and bad uglies. I hear what you're saying.
Diana, go ahead and lead us
There's
in.
always two sides.
There is always two sides. There you go.
Somewhere in there's a joke about all of us bumping uglies, but I'm not going to go there.
I almost went there, but I didn't because I was trying to not say bad words. But you did it again, Steve, and you trumped me. So
I didn't swear.
No, but you went into a dirty area.
That is kind of my thing, okay?
That's what she said.
I was saying, yeah, we can allude and use euphemisms, but
okay,
yeah.
Right. Oh, good. If I can use euphemisms, well, woo!
We can use all the words that your babysitter knew that you knew were wrong, Diana.
Say penis and vagina, all I want.
That's right.
All right, so for ugly, my ugly is going to be bad ugly.
Okay.
My other gripe, it was sort of part of the last 10 minutes of the finale, but it wasn't because where the hell was Negan in the finale? In Alpha
Lydia.
and Beta, I mean, Lydia went off on this trek in the forest, and who the hell knows what happened, But, we saw Alpha for a hot second, just enough for her to entice Carol to do exactly what she wanted her to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I just felt like Negan was such a large part, and I'm like, where are you? I'm really enjoying your storyline, and you're not here. Like, and I'm not saying he needed to have like a 10-minute scene with like something major with him and Alpha or him with Beta or something, but just even like what if they'd just shown a clip of the reaction shot of Negan's face when Lydia walks into the camp, the Whisperer camp, and wouldn't that have been a great finale like ending other than our the Dumball group that fell down in the hole, so I was very disappointed on the severe lack of Negan, Alpha, Beta, Lydia in the finale. That was especially since the Whisperers are the reason of this whole season and they didn't appear at all other than Alpha. I'm sorry, and that was really just she was bait.
Gamma was in there for a little bit too. But you're right.
But is she really a whisperer, or is she coming to the other side? Things to talk about with our prediction.
I can't wait.
All right, so that's my ugly. My ugly was a bad ugly. I was really disappointed that there was no Negan.
Yeah, I agree, and I think we talked about that too. Yeah, it was just the story threads they decided to follow in that season finale would not have been the ones I would have picked.
No, not me.
Yeah. All right, my turn.
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
All right, my ugly is actually a good ugly.
Ooh.
And that is Dante. Again, Angela Kang deserves, as much as I hated the last 10 minutes of the season finale, the way that they created and crafted Dante was just brilliant. And what I really liked about it was they were smart enough to take the fan base's knowledge of the Walking Dead universe and totally use it against them. Right? Because Dante in the books, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's Maggie Squeeze. You know, he's a guy that, you know, he's going to be one of the team. So they introduce him, and yeah, he's a little weird at the beginning, right? You know, where you're like, what's up with this guy? But you don't, you know, for me, especially my spidey senses weren't tingling at all about him of like, we should watch. I just thought, okay, that guy's just weird, you know? And for them to do that, and then when he... well, not only does it turn out he's the Whisperer spy, which, as Diana has pointed out, you know, since the show began, the fans have been screaming about getting a spy on the show, right?
And they finally had one.
Yeah, but I mean, every time a new character shows up, whether it was Enid or any of them, it's like, oh, I don't trust her. She's a spy. You know, she's working for the governor. She's working for whoever. You know, it doesn't matter. We finally get one, and it's the guy you never would have expected. And then on top of it, he killed Sadiq. Oh, it was so great.
And he was the one that made Sadiq watch while everyone got killed.
Oh, it was so great, you know. And I just love that. And again, Angela Kang deserves all the credit in the world because it surprised me, which is I love it when shows do that. And it was so well written. And I think Juan Javier Cardenas, however you say his last name,
Cardenas, I think.
Cardenas, he was great. And just a strong performance all the way through. So, and like you just said, Diana, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more with him before Gabriel popped him to just find out a little bit more about his, you know, what was his mission, what was he trying to do, other than what we just saw in the flashbacky stuff at the beginning of The World Before. But yeah, Dante, without a doubt, is a good ugly for me because it was just so great.
All right.
Nice.
Silence because we're all like,
We're all contemplating.
And scene. That's how I got into Juilliard.
I agree. I would have liked to have seen a little more of his backstory. I know they flashed on a little bit of it, and he was obviously became a Whisperer after Lydia left. Mm-hmm. So I'm just wondering... I see how a lot of the Whisperers became part of the Whisperer cult, basically. But how did this guy like fall into this group and be like, yeah, okay, you know, like
I just wear the skins of the dead. This works for me. I like it.
Yeah,
I have that thought about a lot of the Whisperers, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so she preys on like people who are weak.
Mm-hmm.
And she also employs the cult-like tactic of wearing people down, which is what she's doing to our various groups, is with the wave after wave of walkers and you know the tree falling in. She's just grinding them down. So cults generally go after two people: the weak-minded, and then people who are really strong-willed that you can break.
Okay.
So I just wondered, like, he's sort of new to the group. How did that happen? Like, where has he been for the past 9 years? And yeah.
And what hold do they have that would keep him in the group once he is ensconced at Hilltop and is respected as a doctor, or Alexandria, and respected as a doctor, and kind of in this really comfortable society compared to what he's doing.
Running water, and you know, they eat bread every day, and I agree. I kept, you know, just not just with him, but with all of them. It seemed to me weird that the Alexandrians didn't try that strategy of, you know, basically saying, hey, don't be with crazy lady out in the woods. Come live with us in houses with beds, and you know you can brush your teeth and stuff like that, right? And just kind of prey on the older people to be like, you remember what the world was like before? We have that right now, And,
Yep.
and they just, at least we've never seen them do that. So,
Right.
but yeah, that is a good point. You wonder what was his backstory? How damaged was he that he would fall in with her and think that, her whole thing is what I want to do. Because you're right. He did seem very much an individual and a survivor and very strong-willed. Not exactly the main target for a cult leader to try and.
Yeah. Yep.
All right,
Marn.
So my ugly was a good ugly.
Or is it a bad ugly?
No, there's actually nothing bad about this ugly. Judith Grimes.
Oh, yes.
From episode 1, when she rushed out of the formation with her katana like her mom, and at the last episode, same thing. She, it's like, where's Judith? Judith is out taking care of business. Leave her alone.
That's right.
And everything in the middle. I mean, her little parcels of wisdom that she doles out to everybody every now and then, like the whole RJ going to bed story, and how that's probably what the Whisperers are doing, is wearing us down, and just like she is a standout a character. And I mean, she's writing the history. She's kind of taking over Carl's role in the books, but just even the she's keeping a journal of everything that happens for future generations. I mean, she's like the smartest 9-year-old that has ever existed.
Right. Yeah.
She is nothing like her blood mother or her blood father in any way whatsoever.
I don't know. Shane was a hell of a fighter.
She is definitely a product of nurture, not nature.
Yes. Definitely. Can Michonne adopt me?
Well, you better hurry up. She only got like maybe 1, possibly 2 episodes left.
Yeah.
So you better hurry and run down to Atlanta.
So yeah, my ugly was a good ugly, and it was just Judith, and she better not leave the show. That I'm gonna watch that girl grow up on this show.
Maybe she'll go over to the new show.
Oh, maybe
when that show's done. Yeah, that could be cool. And actually, you know what? I have a bonus ugly as well.
I don't know why that makes me laugh, but just I have a bonus ugly.
I don't think that has ever happened on this show, but it's going to be a thing now.
All right. Well, it actually, my bonus ugly for the events in the first half of the season here was your interview with Emma Bell. Was so forking cool.
That was so much fun.
Oh.
That was amazing that you guys, got her, and she was super cool. As I listened to it, I just kept kind of screaming at my computer saying, "Ask her more questions!" But, and the whole thing where she was obviously making her dinner and, heating up her chicken and all that stuff, she was just super fun. And it was just a really great interview. So congratulations to you guys for getting her on, because that was really cool.
Props to Thomas O'Mara. He's the person who helped us get it going. So
exactly. And I'm so happy her movie got fully funded. Nice trick.
Oh, yay.
Yep. Yeah, so if you got in on that Kickstarter, awesome.
Yeah,
it wasn't actually Kickstarter, but
it was like a GoFundMe, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just wanted to point that out. That was very cool.
Thank you. That was really fun. We were really, really excited.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Di, what was your ugly?
So this is kind of bringing it full circle, because it's going right back to Diana's good, which is I am totally buying into the Negan redemption arc.
Yes.
Ooh, all right.
And I really didn't think that I would, but for me, it really highlights the whole moral ambiguity in a society that has gone through a cataclysm. Nowhere else would it be okay for a 9-year-old girl to have a serial killer as her bestie. Nowhere else.
Come on.
Right. Well, you
Dexter
accepted.
was good with kids.
And, nowhere else would we be, I mean, I know I am, and this kind of leads into our predictions. Nowhere else where would we be pinning our hopes on this brutal murderer as someone who could potentially do in the Whisperers,
Right?
I'm totally buying it.
So you think he's turned the corner?
I do. I think Dianna is exactly right. He still is going to have those characteristics that make Negan, but I think that he's just a different person now.
So, but in that same vein of thought, I don't know what makes Negan tick anymore. Like, what is his end game with joining the Whisperers? We know he's not going to be a good Whisperer. He's not joining because he wants to be a Whisperer. But does he want to be a spy? Does he want to kill Alpha? Like, where's this going?
Mm-hmm.
For me, I think he has gotten really used to his life of silence and solitude and peace. And I think he really looks at Alpha, this is just personal, is how I feel. I think he looks at Alpha as she is disrupting his life.
Mm-hmm.
And if he is, if he's gonna have to be in a cell, then it might as well be in this situation where these people, they don't like him, but there's a certain amount of respect. He can still see children grow up and feel like he has an influence on them. And I think he just enjoys this silent part of, his existence. I think he looks at Alpha as a threat to that existence. And that's why he had to act. He had to do something.
But is he joining to infiltrate and destroy from within? Like, why doesn't he?
So.
I think so too.
Okay.
Because he does not have the makeup, the mental and emotional makeup to be a true Whisperer.
And I don't think he wants to take them over and lead them.
No.
I think this is
No.
It's not going to be a coup. It's going to be all-out war.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. See, that's where I keep going back and forth on, is that to me, it's either he's going to get close to Alpha and take her out,
mm-hmm.
and then sort of, rally all of the now leaderless Whisperers and say, hey, the Whisperer thing is really kind of cray-cray, and we're not going to do that anymore. But we are going to do something else with me in charge. And just sort of round them up and, take them back to the sanctuary or wherever and have him be the big boss again. Or I kind of subscribe a little to what you guys were saying with, whether or not he feels directly threatened by Alpha, with the kind of the life he has. To me, it's like he feels like the only thing he can offer the Alexandrian society at this point is to go kill Alpha. Because as we kind of said, the Alexandrians are soft, and other than Carol, nobody is really serious about, we got to go put these people down.
Right.
And so again, kind of if you want to get something done right, you got to do it yourself mentality. And he sort of feels like, look, I'm just going to go in there and I'm going to take her out and I'll probably die. But you know what? It's something that has to be done for this group, this society that I kind of believe in. Because you remember when,
and care about.
Yeah. I mean, what did he say when after he killed the woman that was ganging up on Lydia, and he was in the cell, and Daryl came in and talked to him, and he said something like, here I finally buy in or start buying into your way of life, and now this is what happens. I can't remember the exact way he phrased it, but he kind of gave you the idea that he was kind of, believing their kind of kumbaya lifestyle, that their life approach, and now he and in, particularly in that one, he did the right thing, and he's going to be killed for it. It's like, come on.
And he actually even says the world is better off without her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, I kind of go back and forth on those two options. It's either like you just said, Marnell, it's going to be a coup, which I don't really think so, because it's certainly he's not going to be like the lead whisperer, but I could kind of see him just saying like, "Hey, everybody, just come with me. You know, forget all this like walking around in the woods crap. We're gonna go find a house and live there or whatever."
And pick tomatoes.
Yeah, you know, or it's like I said, he feels that the one thing he can really offer the Alexandrian society is to go zap Alpha and take her out, and he's that's why he's where he is. So I don't know though. He keeps going back and forth. It's so confusing.
Now
we are deeply into writing potpourri and bold predictions. Yeah.
Okay.
So, having said all that, will it be Negan that kills Alpha? Or will it be Carol? Or will it be Lydia? Who knows? But who do you think?
Diana.
Oh, man.
Always put her on the spot.
I
like to hear what she says first so that I can go, interesting.
I think that it's more likely. I think that Negan is going to kill Beta, and I think that Carol's going to kill Alpha. And I think that obviously Carol has her motivations, but I think Beta's going to like do something like you said this already, Steve. I think Beta's going to do something to harm Lydia, and that's going to make Negan snap a little bit on him.
Okay.
I do have one thing though that I want to sort of, since we're talking predictions and we're in the Negan territory, I was thinking it just a moment ago, but is it okay if I do some comic book spoilery stuff? Because you guys, we were talking.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
So obviously in the comic books, after the Whisperer War, which ends in its own special way, the idea was he literally like he brought Alpha's head to Rick and was like, and the deal they gave was Negan was to never be seen again, just go off, kind of like how Dwight did and went off wherever.
Right.
I wonder if he will say, "You'll never see me again, but I'm going to take these people of hers and take them away so that they won't be anywhere near you, and we'll start something new for ourselves far away from here, and you'll never see any of us again." And that'll be, and you let me go, but you'll never see me again. I wonder if that will happen. But the other thing that also comes into it is what's going to happen. Will Maggie coming back interfere in whatever process Negan will be going through? Because she still is, I'm sure, still smarting over the fact that they never killed him at the end of the Savior War. So I don't know. I think, to me, I feel like it's most likely that Negan will kill Beta and that Carol will kill Alpha. But I also don't think it's possible that Carol could die too. I still think it's possible that Carol could die this season.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe Daryl kills Alpha because Alpha kills Carol.
Revenge.
Maybe there's some fight between Carol and Alpha, and Carol loses, and Daryl goes all Daryl on her. I mean, we're sort of, in this instance, we're in unwritten territory because Carol is long gone. There is no Daryl in the comics. Negan kills Alpha in the comics, but I don't know that they're setting it up for that. It doesn't feel that way. I feel like they're intentionally setting it up so that he's more of the antagonist to Beta.
Yeah.
Plus, physically, I don't think anybody else could take out Beta. Nobody's got the physicality to do it.
Well, Daryl threw him down an elevator shaft.
Yeah, but that didn't work.
I was going to say, for all the good that did.
Well, all he had to do was just check.
I know.
Yeah.
Dumb. All right, so those are mine. So what's everybody? Steve, what's your prediction? What do you think?
Well, the only wild card in there, and first of all, let me say that I think all of those things are totally plausible and possible. Yeah. But the wild card I would throw in there is we have this kind of thread out there of Michonne bringing back Tomahawk cruise missiles or something from the naval base, right? Something that's big enough to take out the Herd, something that's a super weapon that has somehow stayed in operational status for 10 years or whatever. I'm sorry, not a nitpick, but
on an island with, the sea air nearby and
sure,
salty water. It's fine. They'll totally work fine.
Fine-tuned electronics. They stay for a long period of time, people. Yeah.
Right.
And explosives chemicals remain potent for that long time. It's all totally possible. But
all they have to do is get the kids from Fear.
My God.
Who can Steven it out, and it'll be fine.
Is there anything better than watching the Look at the Flowers gang put an airplane together? Oh, the good old summer days of Fear.
It fills me with such bile thinking of it.
Man. I have to say, you guys turned me on to the reviews by Eric Kane.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, he is so funny, and the Fear episodes were so. That's what I look forward to, was reading his review where he just ripped them to shreds, and it was all obvious stuff where I'm like, yep. I mean, it was great. So thank you for that. But anyway, going back to my point is that my thought is I wonder if there will be some sort of confrontation, personal, hand-to-hand kind of confrontation, and then someone's going to lob an artillery shell or a mortar shell or a cruise missile or something that's going to the cliffhanger is massive explosion. We don't know who's dead and who's survived.
Oh, I like that.
So we have Negan fighting Beta, and we have Carol and Alpha, squaring off, and Lydia's there, and Daryl's there, and all these, main characters, and then big fireball, and then, roll the credits, and then we don't really know. And now we have all the off time to be like, what happened? So maybe that's something they're going to do. I'm not sure, but there in the trailer, there is a really quick scene of Alpha, and she's like bleeding profusely from her ears and her nose, and at least she's covered in blood. I'm assuming it's hers, but I'm just saying it looks like she just was in a really bad fight. So we'll have to see what that means. Again, it's like a half a second, you know what I mean? It's like, boop, there, it's gone, but it's in there. So, what does that mean? She is tangling with someone? Does that mean that she cut someone else's head off? I mean, we don't really know, but anyway, that's kind of my thought, is that there'll be a big cliffhanger where, similar to the Negan entrance, where someone's dead, but we don't know who.
Interesting.
So I was really hoping and thinking that they were going to wrap up the Whisperer storyline this season, but I would be okay with that. I would be okay with them holding it over to next season if they did something like that. Okay.
I agree. The Whisperers are by far my favorite villain monster that they've introduced. I mean, they're just they're just so weird and different, and their society is just so unlike anything else that we've ever seen. They're just fascinating to me.
They're alien. They're very alien.
Yeah. I mean, the closest I think we've ever gotten to them would probably be the termites.
Yes.
But even then, cannibalism, if you're hungry, the wolves, maybe the wolves too. Yeah. I think actually probably the wolves are better because they were just weird. The termites were just cannibals. I can see that. There's an ethos there, but the wolves were, they were just bizarre.
That was such a wasted storyline.
Yeah, that was.
Not to digress back to past seasons, but that could have gone really good places.
Yeah,
it could have.
Well, that was the Gimple years where they kind of meandered a little.
Right.
So,
They kind of meandered a little?
They did. Well, as I've said, Walking Dead, the way they progress their plot, they always go like one click above stop. Right. You know what I mean? It's just at a snail's pace always, and that's just the way they want to tell their story. So nothing you can do about it.
True.
So what are you guys' predictions?
Yeah.
So I was thinking that it was going to run a little closer to the comic books and that we would end up with Negan killing Alpha and Beta. But I think the fan base would squawk if Carol didn't get a chance to revenge herself. So I'm gonna side with Diana. I think that's good.
Okay. Where do you think Ezekiel fits into all this? Because if there was ever anyone in this show that's made for a suicide mission,
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is that it's breaking my heart because I really like Ezekiel as a character and as an actor. So, yeah, I definitely think we're going to see the last of Ezekiel, but I like Suicide Mission. That works for me.
yeah, I do too. It's sort of maybe you think he's gonna be a part of we got to get them out of the mine shaft group.
It's kind of the way he redeems himself with Carol.
Could be. I don't know. And then in the trailer they show this like it's like an RV. I don't know if you guys remember this, and we see someone that looks like it might be Beta or someone else, and they come through the roof, and in the floor of the RV is like a hatch that I believe goes into the ground, and I'm wondering if that's like another way to get into the mine area. Did you guys remember that from the trailer at all?
It's Heath!
I think so.
It's Heath. Yeah, that's who it is. Yeah, I don't. No, it's not Heath. He fell off the bridge. He ain't coming back.
Hashtag where's he?
Yeah, where's he? But anyway, I'm just wondering how that's going to play into it. Is that another way into the mine shaft? Is that could we see some of our people? Maybe Gamma leads them to that, and that's how they get in. I don't know, but I could definitely see Ezekiel stepping up and being like, "I'll go," because again, totally expendable.
Yeah.
And he'd be doing it for Carol.
Right.
Exactly.
And Henry. He'd be doing it for Carol and Henry. So that's definitely believable.
And it's the way a king would go out.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
A good king.
A good King Wenceslas. See, it's Christmas. You got to tie it all back in together. See?
Right. It's all back together.
Holiday season, people. Come on, let's get some cheer in here. What do you got, Marnell?
I have something really brutal.
Ooh, all right, lay it on me.
I'm more of the Krampus kind of person than Kris Kringle. Yeah.
Silent Night, Deadly Night. I like it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I can't wait to see Black Christmas, by the way.
Black Christmas, yes, yeah. I'm looking forward to it as well.
Oh my gosh, we may have to do a crossover review.
All right.
Oh boy.
No, if you guys only didn't live 800 miles away.
Like 4,000.
Okay, 4,000, all right?
Take out a map, sir.
We live in
Look,
Texas. There are no distances.
It's 800 miles in Texas.
Not on fear. Anyway.
So that's what 2-3 hours away? No big
Right,
deal.
exactly.
You'll fall asleep in the back of the truck and wake up. You'll be there.
Yes. That's how it works.
It's the same distance from Dothraki to Westeros.
Yes, exactly.
See, that's a Game of Thrones reference of some sort, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
They seem to get places very quickly too.
Yeah, they like quick timed it or whatever they call it in the video games. Where you're like, I want to go there, and then it just sort of fades out and fades up, and you're there.
And it happens.
Yep.
All right, who's up next?
So,
Marnell, so you were going to say
what it was.
That big
my brutal, bold prediction. So in the comic books, the Whispers are really, really more terrible than they are on screen. Mm-hmm. They're very rapey. And as I've said before, Negan doesn't play that. So I have a feeling that Lydia's going to come back to her mom, and her mom is going to punish her or attempt to, and Negan's going to wig.
And just lose it?
Yeah, because he's pretty protective of kids in general, but kind of the misfits like Lydia. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's how it's all going to kick off. And I agree that he will be the one to take out Beta, and Carol will be the one to take out Alpha. I think that Beta's going to step in to, he's going to try and take out Alpha, but Beta's going to step in, and he's going to have to battle Beta while Alpha gets away. And in the end, it'll be Carol that kills Alpha.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Now, is it going to be a close and personal kind of a stabbing kind of killing?
Oh, let's hope so. Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be very personal. It'll, like you said, we've seen her with some sort of bloody wound or something. But if not a Father Gabriel Dante situation, then like full on hands around the neck.
Ooh.
Up
All
close
right.
and personal. So yeah, that is my bold prediction. I think I've probably said it on Biters before, but I just. There's some articles online talking about how brutal the next half of the season is going to be, and that part of the comic books not having been shown yet, then I think that might be where they go.
Okay.
Interesting.
I totally agree. If you guys watched one of the last Fears, they had Seth, old One Eye himself, on. And he kind of let slip that there was an actor get together recently when it was like a farewell dinner for one of the main people. He was talking about how Cooper Andrews like tackled him or something. He posted that on Twitter, and Hardwick asked him about it, and he said, "Yeah, we were just getting finished with this dinner we do whenever a main cast member leaves, and it's like, you said someone's gonna die." So maybe it's Ezekiel. Wouldn't be surprised if Ezekiel punches out, because obviously he's on
Expendable.
He's on death watch because he's got the cancer, right? So that could happen. But I'm guessing it's going to be somebody. And again, could it be Carol?
Well, and Rosita is on death watch too
That's
because
true.
of her new role
Selena?
on Netflix.
True.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't know if you've seen some of the stuff from that, but she looks exactly like Selena. It's unbelievable.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. It looks like it's going to be pretty good. But yeah, I would love it if they would kind of clean house a little bit here and whack a whole bunch of folks. I would not miss it at all.
Just in
I
time
know-
for them to introduce Stephanie and the Commonwealth, so you get a
Oh, yeah.
whole new raft of
I
characters
know.
that you don't care
They
about.
will. But I mean, they were kind of talking about Luke possibly going, because Luke was kind of hopeful and
Right, and he's got a
looking for
love
the
interest.
right. So he could go again. Yumiko and Nadia. I don't really care about them. They could go, and it's fine. I really like Connie. Kelly's kind of annoying to me, so she could go. And even people like Aaron. If he were to leave, I wouldn't be like, okay, that's too bad, but I'll get over it.
I think that they have kind of spoiled our appetites with killing off a couple of big characters really quickly. Who was before Jesus? Oh. But they killed off two really big characters nearly back to back, and it's just kind of like now it's like anyone can go, and it wouldn't be that huge. The heads on spikes. We lost.
the Pike.
Yeah.
We lost
Yeah.
Enid, and we lost Dimbulb Henry, and
Tara.
Tara, right? And
Yeah, Tara's a big loss.
yeah, and then a couple of the highwaymen and all that. I suppose. I agree. I think the biggest one, the one that would cause the most ripples, I think would still be Daryl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that people would be very upset with that. But again, I don't get a sense from what I've seen on the social media stuff that if anyone else were to go, people would be like shocking, but they'd get over it.
Yeah.
Daryl followed closely by Dog.
Oh yeah, well, Dog's going to survive. They're already Gimple's already planning another spin-off show just about Dog.
Just about the dog.
I would watch the S out of that.
and it's just called The Walking Dog.
Oh, that's funny.
So any other
I was just going to
prediction?
say, any other bold predictions or rotting potpourri?
Well, I wanted to ask, what did I do? Okay, so this has been brought up in other places and spaces, and I wanted to see everybody else's thoughts on this. After the reveal of Dante, it's been brought up with other people, and I wanted to know if you guys thought, do we think there are spies in other communities? Is there one at Hilltop? Is there one at Oceanside? Because as soon as people say that, they're like, oh, Jules at Oceanside, and that would be interesting because she's newer. We haven't seen her before.
And she's a love interest, so that makes it really complicated.
Yes. And unfortunately, and one thing too was someone said that would really easily explain how that mask that Judith finds at the first episode, how that got to be so close and be in their area. Because when we see that story from Dante's perspective, when they show him right before he met up with that group of people, he took his mask and his stuff and he threw it into the river wherever they were at. And a couple of people were like, ooh, well, maybe it washed down the river and ended up near Oceanside. I mean, that's also possible. But then they were like, ooh, that helps set up the idea for maybe Jules did the exact same thing, got herself into the Oceanside group somehow, and that mask was just in the general area or near a waterfront area, and it washed up because that's where she discarded it.
Or maybe she buried it, and then the kids were digging in the sand and found it.
They found it.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? Do you think that Dante's the only one, or is there a possibility there are spies at Hilltop or at Oceanside? Either or both?
I think it certainly explains the tree. The tree falling
at
Hilltop.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, how no one could hear them chopping it down.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. And they didn't say that it was chopped down. That would be an obvious thing. They were like, oh, the roots weren't bad, and it was, it was fine. And they didn't make it. It's like somebody came in and pushed this giant tree over. So the tree bothered
It happens.
Well, it's like, come on, guys, go out and look at it. You'd tell, right? I mean, if they cut it or did something to it, pulled it, pushed it, you'd think there'd be some visible signs there. And
you'd think somebody would have noticed that, like the guys on watch on the towers?
Yeah.
Or on the wall? Yeah.
See, you're thinking too much.
But I think the prospect of having spies in other communities certainly explains how Alpha seems to know everything about everyone. Every time you step a toe over the line or somebody talks about taking out the Whisperers, she knows. So,
yeah. I think it's totally plausible. And remember that Michonne, after the Dante thing happened, Michonne, of course, is in Oceanside, and she's talking to the Oceanside people, and she mentions, what you have to beef up your vetting process. So that suggests that Oceanside is taking people in already as well. So yeah, I think it's totally possible. And again, the Jules character, we'd never seen her before, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm asking you, Diana, because you know all these people and when they appear and stuff. So
no, our first time ever seeing her, meeting her, was when in that scene where Luke and her are
flirting.
Flirting in the very first episode.
Yeah.
So she is not. It's not like it's someone that has been kind of a background player for years and years on the show. That she's kind of got elevated to now she has a name and she has a couple lines or whatever. It's so it totally could be. And if not there, I would think definitely at Hilltop.
Yeah.
Because
then it would, like you said, it would explain and they were also saying that they were having problems with their fence at Oceanside, like the walkers were getting through.
Right.
Yes, what's his face, Virgil. They said, you broke our fence, you broke our things. They were blaming some of that on Virgil, but is it possible that Alpha's spy was doing some of that too? Yeah. Or maybe doing exactly what Dante was doing, which is, I'm going to create chaos so that you will then lash out at any stranger that tries to go through your camp. You're going to be like, oh, you did all these things, when really, Jules, she's the one who's been doing it while no one's looking,
Right, yeah.
Right.
So drive up the paranoia.
Yeah, interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Ooh, I love all this. Ooh.
So I want the show to start now.
No.
See, now we only have, 9-10 weeks to go?
Right.
Oh, yikes.
What other do you guys have any other predictions or things for the coming season that you want to discuss as well?
Gamma is totally going to betray the Whisperers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think, I think that Lydia really messed her up in terms of loyalties. Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, doesn't she strike you as a survivor?
Yes.
Yes.
More than a follower, and if she kind of feels kind of like a Eugene in that, whichever way the wind blows, she's going to kind of go with for survival's sake.
And she strikes me as someone who's really smart, but a little bit broken emotionally, but in a way that can be fixed because she was engaging with Aaron, she was, and it was still kind of gruff and whatever, but she was being drawn in. And I know there are a million characters on the show, but I understand if her character would need to die, but since she is such a well-known, named actress, it would be great if they could extend her a little bit longer, like past the time that Beta and Alpha die. Like, maybe they show her, she's a symbol of what it's like to try and integrate yourself into a normal group after something like that,
I just wonder though, would if the Alexandrians are barely tolerant of Lydia,
right?
At this point, how much are they going to be welcoming in another Whisperer who has been involved in much more of the bad stuff?
Well, maybe she and Negan hold hands and skip off into the sunset.
I was actually thinking something along those lines. Maybe she's part of the group that Negan takes to be far, far away from Alexandria.
Well, and it doesn't even have to be far, far away, because remember, Brandon had a site picked out for Sanctuary 2?
Yeah.
That it was, like a day's walk?
Yeah.
So it could be another community outcrop.
Could be.
Although, don't you think, though, that he has to go someplace super far just to avoid, anyone ever running into them? You know what I mean? Just like if he's totally going to be like, look, I'm just going to disappear and you're never going to see me again, that means he's going to, North Dakota.
I kind of don't think that Jeffrey Dean Morgan is going to leave the show without being killed off. I don't think that they would leave that loose end.
So this is something that I didn't put in Whisperer's Corner, but Jeffrey Dean Morgan has been making noise about a spin-off movie for Negan. So
okay. Would it explore backstory, or would it be just
sounds like it's
what
more
happened
backstory?
Okay.
Kind of the here's Negan. What was that? A 16 comic arc?
Oh yeah.
Would you pay $50 to see that?
75.
Right.
No, actually, I would watch that. I think he is such a great actor, a great performer. I think he would be really good.
Yeah.
You know what's really sad? I'm actually more excited at the idea of a spin-off movie with Negan that would show his backstory, just like the comic, the Here's Negan comic.
Than the Rick movies.
I'm more excited for that than I am for the Rick movie.
Yeah.
Rick Grimes.
And I think that one of the really, it's kind of like a weird ugly for this season. The tail end of last season and this first half of this season has really just sort of driven the point home that main characters can die on the show, because this show is doing some of the best they've ever done.
Without
and Rick Grimes is
Rick.
not on at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's very refreshing,
Yeah.
And that's what makes me look at the Whisperers stuff. They could totally turn this. Oh, I almost said it.
They can turn this show around.
They could turn this ship around. They could totally mess with our preconceived notions. Carol's going to win. Maybe Carol does kill Alpha, but maybe she dies in the process.
Mm-hmm.
Because like we've said, Carol is living on borrowed time. Daryl doesn't even appear in the comics. Ezekiel would already have been dead from the Pikes. So they're in a situation where they can really sort of do anything. And they've already, like I said, they've already shown that they can survive without Rick. Like, Rick was such a loved character, and people are like, I miss Rick. But man, Walking Dead is still really good.
It is, yeah.
So I think people would cry for a really long time if Carol died, but I think they would be able to move on. I don't know. That's just how I feel.
Well, actually, the one thing I did find for the potpourri here, there was a show. It was a Dortmund Comic Con where Ross Marquand and Melissa McBride were, and they were asked how they thought the show would end. That when they finally finished the show, and Ross Marquand, his quote is, "I think it's aliens." And he said either aliens were the cause of the zombie apocalypse or aliens are going to come down and wipe us all out. Either way, it's going to be awesome. That was his quote. And then Melissa McBride, her answer wasn't quite as fun. She said, it says, meanwhile, perhaps taking inspiration from too many viewings of The Truman Show, the Carol actress shared, I think that it's a television show. Somebody says cut, and that's a wrap. And then you see all these walkers take their faces off, just hug each other and walk away, and it's just been a television show the whole time. A pretty violent TV show, but
It's really meta.
Yeah, absolutely. And then she did go on to say that she's very surprised that Carol is still alive, and she thought that Carol would probably not make it through the first season when she first started, which I think is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I think the one character that the fans would be the most unforgiving on is Daryl.
Still Daryl.
Yeah.
I think that he is the one. Everybody else, I think, is fair game. And as much as Scott Gimple did, kind of drove the show down, at least he kept up the Kirkman tradition of ruthlessness, and people are going to come and go, and you never know. And I found that to be really cool because there's no other show on TV that does that.
Yeah.
As much as we hate on Scott Gimple, and I'm totally right there with you, he was at the helm for season 4, which still is my favorite season.
It's a great season.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And you wonder how much of that is him, and how much of that was he getting marching orders from Kirkman?
Right.
Saying you need to do this, you need to. What did Kirkman say with the comic? If he would go through a couple of issues and someone hadn't died, he knew someone had to die. So you wonder who made all those calls back then. But yeah, I'm up for it, man. Let's have just a big cleansing here. Let's roll into season 11, and the Walking Dead credits will be 3 people. Wouldn't that be great?
Judith, Eugene, and
dog. Yeah. Oh, and we didn't talk about. That's the other question. Here's a thing for you. Who's the voice on the radio?
Oh, I think they're totally going the Commonwealth storyline.
Yeah.
You think that's what that is?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think we're gonna see anyone this season though.
No.
Okay.
I think that's going to be teased at the end of the season again, and that's going to be. I think they're just waiting to see how things pan out for season 11 to see how whether they can delve into that storyline or not.
Now, do you guys think that the voice on the radio is being disingenuous and she's trying to play Eugene for information, or do you think she's being true and being like, look, I'm just a person out here that I don't trust anyone and all that?
I think it's more likely that she's genuine.
Yeah.
I think again they're going to follow the storyline, and she was genuine in the storyline.
Okay. So you guys are going to say that in that case they are going to follow the comic book.
Yeah. At least with the introduction of the Commonwealth, where they go with it, it does end up being the end of the comic series, so it'll be interesting to see if that's where they take it with the TV series or not.
So if it wasn't meant to be genuine, the fact that Eugene had a story about the exact place she lived, I think would have maybe turned it genuine. Even if it started out as just get on the radio and talk to people and see what you can find out, I think that it could have turned into something different for her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I think in this world, man, you can't trust anybody you hear on the phone or the radio, Alicia.
No. Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's doesn't it seem that 95% of the people that you meet in the apocalypse are either psycho killers or just evil and will try and kill you and take your stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you have to survive, You
do?
I mean,
Absolutely.
So that's one of the things that this show is really good at showing is that, and there was a huge arc in this season so far of we are all monsters now, and are we the good guys?
Right.
And that's something that we've always said on the show is the villain is always the hero of his own piece. And one of the questions Alexandrians ask, and they're still asking it, is how many people have you killed? Right. And so the whole, a lot of them don't accept Lydia, but I'm sure in the beginning, the people who integrated from the Saviors weren't accepted. And now we're going to have Whisperers roll into the communities. So, it's kind of like, we all did bad stuff to get where we are, but that's maybe not who we are anymore. Maybe it wasn't who we are when we started out. It's just what we did to survive. So.
Yeah. You're from the point of view we're being told, the Alexandrians are the good guys. But if we were being told, if the Alexandrians were introduced not as the main characters, how would we look at them?
Right.
And I mean, even the Whisperers, I'm sure 90% of the people in the Whisperers aren't maliciously bad. They are just followers surviving in the zombie apocalypse.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. She offered them a way to survive, and it's weird, but it works.
Yeah.
So.
And some of them, like Lydia, don't know anything different. That's how they were raised.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see if they do wrap up the Whisper War this season. What do they do with any of the stragglers? Will Lydia still be around? Will she want to stay? Will she want to go somewhere else? You know what I mean? Will they be like, look, we can't stay here because there are people here that will never accept us? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I really like the idea of Negan taking off the stragglers and giving them a place to be and a place to recover from being with Alpha.
Yeah.
The Negan School for Misfits.
There it is.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to get a shirt.
That's it.
I love it.
Any other predictions from anyone, or are things you're looking for the next half of the season?
No.
No, neither.
The only thing I'm saying is I'm hoping that they give us more of the TV version of Beta and who he was.
Oh, yeah, a little more of his backstory. Yeah.
Was he a country western singer like everyone thinks, and how did that all work out? I not to make the show more like Lost, but I think flashbacks to pre-apocalypse would be really cool for some of these characters.
Agreed.
Well, and there is that whole moment where Magna is sitting and listening to that record. And it was Ryan Hurst, and it was Ryan Hurst singing an Emily Kinney song.
Yeah. And of course on Fear, the album
records.
cover.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they've certainly trying to tell that narrative that he was some sort of entertainer back then. But I'm just wondering, will we get any more, or is that it? Is that all they're going to tease us with?
Yeah.
I hope we get it.
I don't know if we will. I don't know if Beta is long for this world, but having said that, I I would think it would be funny if he loses his mask, like in a fight or something, and somebody recognizes him.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
They're like, oh man,
Wait a minute.
look who it is.
I have your album.
I'm pretty sure that Negan recognizes him when he kills him.
In the book?
In the
comics.
comic book.
But
yeah.
in the comic, wasn't he like, he was like a basketball player
Yeah,
or
he
something?
was a basketball player.
Yeah, so he wasn't, it's not exactly the same. I mean, he's someone famous, but and clearly on the show, Alpha knew who he was.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
When she peeled up his mask and went,
and yeah, kind of did that little smile, like, oh, okay, I get it. You know. So yeah, so I think I personally, I would love to get just a little bit more on those, some of the main whisperers, just because they're so weird now.
mm-hmm.
I want to see what they were like before, you know, and just be like, okay, were you always like this, or is this some sort of transition? You know, how did you get to be like this? So I think that'd be cool.
It's a cult. People join cults all the time.
I tell you.
All hail to Xenu.
The cult of dog.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I think we are probably heading into wrapping it up. So I want to steal a page from Paul Rykoff, who does Angry Americans, and ask you guys, what's your favorite Christmas movie?
Ooh.
Or holiday movie?
Go ahead, Diana. You go first.
Well, I have a couple.
Okay.
I think it depends on the mood I'm in. You know, there's a few that are you just cannot withstand Home Alone. It is such a great Christmas movie. I love that movie, and it makes me laugh every time. I mean, every time Marv gets the spider on his nose and Daniel Stern screams like a small girl, it still makes me cry with laughter. It's so well done.
Comedy gold, people.
Comedy gold. That's a great one. If I'm in more of like a I don't know, like rom-com mood, I really love Love Actually, and I love but I also love The Holiday. With I don't know if you've ever seen it, but with Cameron Diaz and Kate Winslet, such a good movie.
Oh,
great movie. And then if I'm really in the mood to, you know, shed some tears, have you guys ever seen The Family Stone with
yes,
man,
with a
that
whole
kills
bunch
me.
of stars,
Whole bunch of great people. That movie was not marketed properly because
I haven't watched it. I'll have to watch it.
Let's just say there's a big like sort of you know, like a B plot all about death that you weren't expecting, and you go to see it was marketed as like, they showed that scene with like Sarah Jessica Parker like slipping and falling in the kitchen, and they get food all over themselves, and they're like, oh, it's this uproarious funny comedy. I'm like, half an hour into this movie, I went by myself on a day off one day, and for like a day shift, I'm like bawling in the movie theater. I'm like, this was a big mistake. So,
where's the funny?
Yeah, those are like my tried and trues. And yes, there's all the fringe stuff. I used to love Christmas Story. It's too big now. There's too many. It's on the TV too much. And yes, I do acknowledge that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, but it's not something that I crave all the time. I feel like if someone right now is like, let's watch something Christmassy, I would probably say Home Alone or Love Actually are the ones that I probably go to the most.
Good.
For different reasons, but let's go on. Steve, how about you?
Well, first and foremost, I was going to say Die Hard.
Because you're a boy.
It's a great movie, no matter what season it is, but it is a Christmas movie.
Yes.
But in terms of Christmassy stuff, every year I always make sure I watch Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown.
Oh.
Which is not really a movie; it's only a half hour, but certainly something that you know we did as kids every year, so that certainly resonates with me. I do like Love Actually as well. Just for the future cast of British superstars that are in it.
Yes.
Did you guys listen to our movie review of Love Actually?
No.
Okay.
Marnell ruined me.
I will
She
ruin
ruined
it
me.
for
So
you.
don't listen.
Well, I was
No.
gonna say that it does have the very, very stalkery Andrew Lincoln character story in it, which they somehow play off as it being endearing to Keira Knightley when she should be like filing a
Freaked
restraining
out.
order against him. So that's the one story that I'm like, guys, this is not good. But the rest of it, I think, is great.
Mm-hmm.
But then other than that, the only other one I would say, and this one I usually get choked up at the end, is It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, when everybody comes in and is, they're going to arrest him, and then the whole town shows up with all the money. How can you not, just go, oh, humanity is really good, and people are nice, and so on. It's very sappy and it pulls on the heartstrings, but it works. So I think those are the ones for me. But Die Hard, definitely.
Awesome. Marnell, what about
What do you guys got?
So I have two, and there could not be more opposite.
Uh-huh.
So Scrooged, obviously, with Bill Murray.
Yes.
Oh,
Good choice.
yeah. And Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
Oh my god.
Wow.
It's just something that reminds me of when I was a kid, and
Mhm.
I watched it for the first time in decades, like a couple of years ago, and now it's like every Christmas. So, yeah, Scrooged and Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
That's awesome. And the correct answer was the minnow. I'm sorry. No.
Oh.
How about you, Di? What are yours?
So when I'm feeling really sappy while you were sleeping, because Sandra Bullock.
Oh, Sandra Bullock's great. in that
Yeah.
movie.
But every year we watch White Christmas.
Wow,
That's a good one,
Bing
too.
Crosby and
Danny Kaye. I'm in love with Danny Kaye. He was such a talent and such
I-
an unsung talent.
I love Rosemary Clooney.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's great.
Yeah.
yeah, great movie.
Yeah.
Great.
Phenomenal movie.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I think we should close with the aim for the head close.
Oh, all right.
Aw, that's so sweet. Are you guys ready for it?
I think so.
Well, we got to take it one dead day at a time, though, right?
Yeah, Diane just did that because you cannot get four people to say that at once.
That's true. She's not wrong.
God,
She's
that's
not wrong.
hilarious.
Well, if you want to, then I'll just wrap it up for everybody. So
All right.
this was great. We've been trying to get this together for a while, and it took some haggling because 3 hours away is hard, and getting that time shift. But this was so much fun. It was great to be on Biters. We love you guys.
Yes, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us.
I
Yeah,
think we
this was-
do it again, and next time at the end of 10B, we'll come over to aim for the head.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Oh my god, I
like
love
it. I like
love
it.
a good
I like
love
it.
a good
Yes.
crossover. So I guess that's it for this week. As always, I'm Diana,
And I'm Steve.
and you guys are,
Diane?
And
and
Marnell.
and don't forget to always aim for the head.
Because body shots, they just don't work.